Hollywood director 1992. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction. So don't try any techniques you hear here in real life, your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 226 Casual Chat at the Card Table. Coming, Link left Quentin and went to the entertainment room to play Texas Hold'em with a few people. Hollywood has many famous gamblers, such as Ben Affleck, Nicolas Cage, Brad Pitt, Tobey Maguire, and director Martin Scorsese. There were two here today. Ben and Nicolas Cage not only frequently gamble in Las Vegas, but are also members of Hollywood's largest poker club. Whenever they attend a party, they take out their cards and invite their friends to play a few rounds. Keanu Reeves, Johnny Depp, Matt Damon, and Joaquin Phoenix, although they don't play much, are still quite skilled. While playing, they smoke cigarettes, squint their eyes, and strike various mysterious poses, like a group of gambling gods. Only Link is a novice, with mediocre card skills, and lost more than $2,000 in less than half an hour. Seeing him lose money, everyone was happy, with a Robin Hood-like thrill. Even Quentin couldn't resist joining in, ready to earn some pocket money from him. The more players there are in Texas Hold'em, the more lively it is, and Link didn't mind others joining in to make money off him. Link, you're pretty boring. Besides making movies, you don't do any other entertainment. I suggest you participate in more of these kinds of activities, otherwise making so much money is meaningless. Ben Affleck, cigarette dangling from his lips, shuffled and dealt cards with a cocky air. Seeing his cocky demeanor, Link regretted not putting him down more during the filming of Seven, making him like Leonardo DiCaprio, unable to shake off the film even a week after it ended. Link plays tennis and golf. He's not as boring as you say, Sofia Coppola said, holding her cards. Link is really good at tennis. I've played with him a few times, and I almost got crushed. Jim Carrey also sat at the card table, looking at his cards more often than calling, focusing on participation. Link can also swim, box, do Chinese kung fu, and cook. He's practically a Superman, Sofia Coppola said. Ben Affleck curled his lip. Golf? Tennis? Cooking? What kind of stuff is that? It sounds so boring. Link, don't you have any interesting hobbies? You mean the unhealthy, unconventional hobbies, right? Johnny Depp said, smoking a cigarette. Everyone laughed. Link likes beautiful women, Nicolas Cage said. Everyone paused for a moment, then burst into laughter. That's right, that counts as a hobby, and a very unconventional one at that. Ben Affleck laughed so hard he slammed his hand on the table. Focus on your cards, don't talk nonsense, Sofia glared at her cousin Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage shrugged, picked up a $50 bill and put it in the pot. Link looked at his cards and also placed a $50 bet. Cage, I heard that director Scorsese is going to make a gambling movie and collaborate with you. When does filming start? It's not a gambling movie, it's a romance movie set in Las Vegas, a great romance movie, but director Scorsese is still revising the script. It's not finalized yet. Filming will probably start after August. Nicholas picked up his cards and looked at them. I heard that director Scorsese is very slow at making movies. Each film often takes more than a year from project initiation to completion, Jim Carrey said. That's normal. Director Scorsese is very dedicated to his films, meticulous in his work, and the quality is very high. Sofia Coppola picked up a card, looked at it, and tossed it on the table. That's right. Good movies are all meticulously crafted and take a long time to make. Only bad movies are made quickly. A film can be completed in a few dozen days, and 3 or 4 films can be made in a year. Quentin smirked, his words carrying a hidden meaning. Link shook his head. Would you feel bad if you didn't make fun of me? Look, someone has admitted without being asked that they made a bad movie. Quentin laughed. What's so funny? Link made Paranormal Activity in 7 days, and it grossed more than 600 million worldwide, averaging 100 million a day. You made Pulp Fiction in more than a year, and it grossed more than 100 million. Don't you feel sad? Sofia mocked. HMPH, Quentin said with a dark face. High box office doesn't mean a good movie. From its inception to completion, Seven only took a little over 3 months, yet it won the Palme d'Or. You dare say Link's movies are bad, Sophia retorted. We haven't even seen the movie, how would we know if it's good or not, Quentin said. This movie is really good. Hearing them talk about Seven, Ben Affleck, the male lead, couldn't help but open up. Let me tell you, the plot design of this movie, don't spoil it, Sophia tapped the table. Okay, Ben Affleck shrugged. Let's not talk about the plot, let's talk about my performance. My acting in this movie reached an extremely high level. I never thought my acting would be so good. Every time I looked back at the camera after filming, I felt like I couldn't have performed at that level. It was so cool. Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, and Jennifer Connelly were all good too, not much worse than me. It's because Link gave you good guidance, Sophia reminded him. It's also because I'm quite talented. If I were an actor without talent, Link's guidance wouldn't have helped, Ben Affleck chuckled. Jim Carrey laughed. Link, when can we work together sometime? You can give me some pointers. I'm not good at comedy, I can't give you pointers, Link said. Jim Carrey shrugged. Actually, my ideal is to become a Broadway drama actor, not a comedian. If there's a suitable script, I'd like to make serious movies. Sure, Link laughed. Can we stop talking about movies? If we're going to play cards, let's focus on the game. Talking about movies is ruining our game. Quentin lost money this hand and slammed his cards on the table in annoyance. We're all filmmakers, what else can we talk about besides movies? You're so annoying, Sophia said. Quentin curled his lip. You're so protective of Link, people would think you're Link's wife. What did you say? Sophia slammed her hand on the table and stood up. Alright, why are you arguing? Link quickly pulled Sophia back, trying to stop Quentin from saying anything more. Sophia stopped playing cards, left the entertainment room, and went to the living room to chat with Monica, Renee, and the female companions of Cage and Keanu. Sophia has a terrible temper, Quentin asked. You'd better not mess with her, she can even hit me when she gets angry, Nicolas Cage shrugged. Quentin glanced at Link. I'm curious, with such a temper, how do you manage to control her? We admire each other, HMPH. I understand women less and less. Good, devoted men like us are ignored, while scumbags like Link are becoming increasingly popular. Isn't this a different kind of Gresham's Law? Yes, Ben Affleck nodded. Link looked at his cards, the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds. Plus an ace of spades in the open hand, a pair of tens. The highest possible hand was 3 aces plus a pair, making it the best full house. As long as he didn't get a bomb or a straight flush, his chances of winning were high. Link bet $1,200 over 3 rounds, finally matching hands with Ben Affleck and Keanu Reeves. Affleck had 4 tens, while Reeves had a straight flush of Queen, Jack, 10, 9, and 8 of hearts. Reeves won decisively. Link and Affleck lost over $1,000 in that hand. Link, I recently received some bad news that concerns you. Want to hear it? Nicolas Cage said while looking at his cards. Chapter 227 A message. What? I heard the 7 major studios are planning to team up against you. CAA executives notified us through your agent that it's best not to work with you. It looks like they were going to blacklist you. I received a notification too, Keanu Reeves said, also an artist under CAA. The others weren't CAA clients and hadn't received the notification either. Link looks like he's in trouble, Quentin laughed. Link shook his head and smiled. It's an honor to be targeted by the 7 major studios. Guess what film's box office performance these past 2 years has been outstanding, affecting the status and interests of the 7 major studios, Johnny Depp said. Last year, guess what films ranked 6th in total box office, something no independent production company had ever achieved before. The 7 major studios felt the pressure, Matt Damon said. Link, aren't you nervous about being targeted by the 7 major studios and CAA? Ben Affleck, seeing him playing cards so calmly, was very curious. Fortunately, the fact that Guess Movies has provoked the hostility of the big 7 studios shows that Guess Movies is powerful enough. We can deal with their moves as they come, and we might not necessarily lose, Link said. After hearing that the big 7 studios were going to join forces against Guess Movies, Daniel DeVito approached them with 3 film projects to test the waters. Columbia Pictures preemptively signed cooperation agreements for Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2 and Hachi, A Dog's Tale. Sony Pictures chairman Nobuyuki Idai personally called Link, stating that he would not participate in the actions of Michael Ovitz and others, and hoped to deepen cooperation with the Guess Movies. Originally, Guess Movies and Columbia Pictures had a 1+2 film cooperation contract. The success of Paranormal Activity and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective made Columbia even more focused on the cooperation with the Guess Movies. Especially given Columbia Pictures' poor revenue situation, last year, Columbia Pictures' global box office totaled $1.16 billion, ranking third among its peers, but their production costs reached over $800 million, and out of 22 films released, only 8 were profitable. Columbia Pictures was still in a loss-making state. Therefore, partnering with a profitable film company like Guess Movies is essential. Nobuyuki Idai offered Link $500 million to produce 8 to 10 films for Guess Movies over 3 years. If the 10 films grossed over $800 million or $1 billion worldwide, Link would receive a share of the profits. Sony Group would also provide support should Guess Movies face setbacks. Link neither immediately agreed nor refused. 8 to 10 films was too many. Accepting them would disrupt many of the company's plans. The deal was too large and needed further consideration. Furthermore, MGM had already signed the script for The Bridegroom Looks Back, and MGM president Frank Micasso called Link, hoping to strengthen the partnership. Meanwhile, the Walt Disney Company's management was still embroiled in internal strife and did not accept Guess Movies' offer, but neither did they show hostility, so there was no immediate concern. The only real threats were Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal Pictures, 20th Century Fox, CAA, and their respective media groups. Link: I really don't understand. We're directors, why can't we just focus on making movies? Why are we going to compete with the big 7 studios? Quentin asked. The tallest tree in the forest catches the most wind. I can only blame myself for being too outstanding. Link looked at his cards, a king of spades and a 10 of clubs. Including his whole cards, he could only make a pair of kings. He bet $50 and called again. Link: I support you. Defeat the big 7 studios and become the king of the Hollywood entertainment kingdom, Ben Affleck shouted exaggeratedly. What era are we living in? Still want to be king? Anyone else call? If no one calls, we'll show our cards. Link tapped the table. So eager, looks like your whole cards are pretty good. Nicolas Cage grinned. Not bad, should be able to win a hand. I fold. Me too. Nicolas Cage and Ben Affleck threw down their cards. I finally got a straight flush, and you guys folded. Link shook his head, threw down his cards, and pocketed the money. Ben Affleck grabbed his cards and glanced at them, only to find his highest hand was a pair of kings, and he cursed angrily. Although he won one hand, he still lost overall. Link had been playing cards for over an hour and lost more than $3,800. After he got up, Nicolas Cage and the others continued playing cards. From noon until after 11 p.m. If their female companions hadn't urged them, they would have stayed all night. However, Sofia, Mila Jovovich, and Renee Zellweger decided to stay overnight at the villa, each getting their own bedroom. Link didn't stop them. They had apartments in Los Angeles and were usually busy with work, so they didn't actually stay here for more than a few days, only staying a few nights when they wanted to play ball. Monica was very magnanimous in this matter, and that night she even tried to wrestle the blanket from Sofia with him. Because he was strong, the two women couldn't win, so they called over other people. With just one tattered blanket, the back and forth fighting over it almost exhausted Link that night. After spending a few days lounging in the villa, Link finally arrived at Guess the Movies studio, his gait slightly hunched and his increasingly muscular back bulging, to begin editing The Butterfly Effect. Because he had enjoyed himself so much the previous days, he was relaxed and focused, resulting in significantly improved work efficiency. He finished editing the film in 2 weeks and then handed it over to other staff for post-production. Look how thin you've become, Liu Xiaoli said, massaging his shoulder in the office. Thinner? Really? Link picked up a spoon and looked at his face. No, still as handsome as ever. You're so vain, Liu Xiaoli laughed, patting him lightly while continuing to massage his shoulder. Link continued drinking the fresh corn and old ham soup that Liu Xiaoli had brought him. It was sweet, delicious, and incredibly fragrant. How is the public relations department doing lately? It's been going fairly smoothly. However, there's been a lot of negative news about our company in the media lately, saying we specialize in making trashy films, plagiarize other movies, and that there are unspoken rules within our production team. After investigation, it's all baseless rumors. Our public relations department, in conjunction with the legal department, has used various methods to combat the spread of these rumors, and we've achieved some results so far, Liu Xiaoli said slowly. Link smiled. Liu Xiaoli's speech was becoming increasingly professional. Not bad, you're getting more and more capable, stop fooling around. Hurry up and drink your soup, it'll get cold soon. Liu Xiaoli blushed and slapped his hand, which was about to grope her. When are you moving to the villa? I'll save the rooms for you and Kyankian. I specially decorated 2 bedrooms according to your and Kyankian's preferences during the renovation. Go take a look, you'll definitely like it there. Link continued drinking his soup. Liu Xiaoli behind him didn't respond immediately, only saying after a few seconds, I'm several years older than you. Who knows if you'll look down on me when I'm old, don't think like that. You and Kyankian are my closest people. Without you, I'd be all alone. How could I look down on you? Lin K didn't waste any more words. He wiped his hands with a wet wipe, and while his body was still warm, he carried Liu Xiaoli to his desk. At this moment, no words were needed. He just wanted to show the woman before him through his actions that even if he became a beautiful woman in her 50s or 60s, he wouldn't lose interest in her. Chapter 228. The game begins. Boss, this is the information and box office data for recently released movies. After Liu Xiaoli left, the new assistant, Monica Lewinsky, came in and placed several files on his desk. How is it going being an assistant? Link asked casually, taking the folder. Not bad, thank you for the promotion, Mr. President, Lewinsky smiled. Lewinsky was 21 years old, a junior at Clark College, currently on an internship. She was 171 centimeters tall, with long, shoulder-length black hair, and wore a white women's suit, looking very capable. Not long ago, she had requested a change of position in the script library. Link wanted to see her workability and asked her to organize the scripts in the script library first. Lewinsky spent more than a month organizing all the scripts and inputting them into the computer for storage. Viewing the scripts was very convenient, as they could be accessed directly through the computer. She did a good job in this task. Link transferred her to the president's office through Michael Leeson. Link's president's office had 6 assistants and secretaries, including Annie, so adding Lewinsky was not a problem. Do a good job, and I hope you have a pleasant internship. Link was about to look at the documents when he noticed Lewinsky still standing at her desk. Monica, is there anything else? Mr. President, I don't have much work right now. I just organize documents, which can be done in less than 2 hours. Could you give me more tasks? Lewinsky said. You're just an intern. Why are you doing so much work every day? I want to train myself and improve my work skills, Lewinsky said, clenching her fist. Link, at a loss for words with this female college student, thought for a moment. The company is planning to collaborate with Columbia Pictures soon to shoot 8 to 10 films. We'll decide what those films will be. Columbia has also decided to open its script and copyright libraries to us. Your job is the same as before, lead 2 to 3 screenwriters to Columbia's script library to review scripts, summarize all the stories, and submit them to me. This task will last 3 months. You'll get as many scripts as you can within those 3 months. Do you want to take this job? Lewinsky blinked. Mr. President, could I bring the scripts to the company to review? I prefer our company environment, and I can also handle other work while reviewing scripts. Serving you, sure, thank you, Mr. President. You are the most charming and elegant man I've ever met. Lewinsky smiled, revealing her dimples, and walked out in her high heels. Link shook his head. If it weren't for her foreign appearance, her behavior would easily make people suspect she was a Chinese female student studying abroad. She was too demanding. This was probably why the other assistants in the office didn't like her. After seeing Lewinsky off, Link continued reviewing the recent box office figures on the documents. The summer movie season typically runs from the end of April to the end of August. Of the 37 films currently in theaters, the highest grossing is Universal Pictures' animated film The Flintstones, which has grossed $86.79 million in North America after 3 weeks and is projected to reach around $150 million. Second is Warner Bros.' Western Maverick, which has grossed $66.46 million in North America after 4 weeks and has a strong chance of surpassing $100 million. Third is Miramax's gothic action film The Crow, the posthumous work of Brandon Lee, son of martial arts superstar Bruce Lee, which has grossed $46.39 million in North America after 7 weeks. A decent result, but sadly, Brandon Lee passed away young and couldn't enjoy the glory of the film's success. Fourth is Disney's romantic comedy When a Man Loves a Woman, which has grossed $44.28 million in North America after 10 weeks. The remaining 12 films have grossed over $10 million. The summer movie season has just begun, and 2 films are already on the verge of breaking 100 million yuan at the box office, with more than 10 films exceeding 10 million yuan. From this perspective, this year's summer movie season is looking promising. However, more than the box office figures, Link is more concerned about the films released around the same time as Speed and Seven. Speed was announced earlier, and the films released at the same time haven't changed much, with its biggest competitor being Disney's The Lion King. After Guessing Pictures announced the release date for Seven, several films from the 7 major studios adjusted their release schedules, moving several blockbusters to release around the time of Seven, while simultaneously increasing their promotional efforts to squeeze the market share of the 2 films. Originally, films released around the time of Seven included blockbusters like Forrest Gump, True Lies, Clear and Simple, and The Client. After the adjustments, the situation for both films is even more difficult. Guessing Pictures will need to spend more money to achieve better promotional results. After reviewing the information, Link called John Gordon, head of publicity, and Joe Fermi, head of distribution, to inquire about the progress of the film's promotional work. After listening to their reports, Link requested an increase in the publicity budget for Seven, from the original $5 million to $15 million, with no upper limit if necessary, to strive to reach a wider audience and counter the competition from the Big 7 studios. He also demanded a larger release, aiming to get the film into theaters across North America. John Gordon and Joe Fermi subtly suggested that Seven, being an art film with a production cost of $32 million, risked losses if publicity costs were increased. Link, however, was unconcerned. Having become a Microsoft shareholder, his net worth was over $1 billion, freeing him from financial worries and allowing him to focus on his business. Even if the film company went bankrupt, his shares would allow him to rebuild at any time. This was why he dared to risk competing with the Big 7 studios. Secondly, Seven had a 2.6x box office subsidy, which could increase further with effective publicity. He wasn't worried about losses. Thirdly, this was also a counterattack against the pressure from the Big 7 studios. Guess what? The studio increased its marketing budget for Seven. For the Big 7 studios to overshadow Seven and achieve better publicity, they also needed to increase their marketing spending. This is akin to raising the stakes in Texas Hold'em. Link raised in the first round. The Big 7 studios, if they wanted to gamble, had to raise too, otherwise, they might lose. Raising would mean bigger wins and bigger losses. He had substantial cash reserves as a fallback, while the Big 7, despite their size, had many problems and might not be able to afford the gamble. Hearing his insistence, John Gordon and Joe Fermi didn't try to dissuade him further. They called a meeting with their staff to rearrange the distribution of Seven, ensuring its successful release. Chapter 229: A Difficult Situation. Soon Michael Ovitz and the presidents of the 7 major film studios received news that the studios were preparing to compete with the 7 studios by increasing the marketing and distribution costs of Seven. Haha, Link's still too green, Michael Ovitz laughed heartily after receiving the news. Guess the Movies is just one company, while we have more than 10. How can one company possibly beat more than 10? He's bound to lose this gamble, and it's highly likely to be a crushing defeat, Langmuir nodded, smoking a cigarette. It was indeed reckless, but understandable. Link's young, he can't stand being wronged. Seeing the 7 major studios targeting his film, he impulsively increased his stakes to go head-to-head with them. This kind of behavior is very irrational in business competition, haha. This kid beat us last time and started to get arrogant and conceited, thinking he has no rivals in Hollywood. That's why he's acting so tough. This time, I'm going to completely defeat him, destroy him, and make him spit out everything he swallowed. Michael Ovitz chuckled coldly a few times and immediately called the executives of the major film studios, hoping they could take countermeasures to damage Link's film and make Guess the Movies lose even more money. Executives from several major film studios agreed to suppress Link and Guess the Movies in terms of media coverage, but CAA or Michael Ovitz personally had to take action. As the initiator of the alliance, he couldn't just stand by and watch, he needed to contribute, such as paying for some publicity, arranging for celebrities to promote the film, and leveraging his connections to suppress the reputation of Link's new movie. Michael Ovitz's heart trembled at the thought of having to spend money. Last year, he had bet over $10 million against Link and invested heavily in publicity and connections. Now, having to spend more money was something he was very reluctant to do. "Michael, you have to understand," said Barry Diller, chairman of 20th Century Fox. "Link's film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. It's of good quality. It's risky for us to compete with Link. If we lose, causing losses for the company, I won't be able to explain it to Murdoch and the board." Michael Ovitz frowned. "If we win, the benefits will be yours too." No, the benefits are ours. If we win, we can give priority to CAA artists in film projects," said Sid Schellenberg, president of Universal Pictures. Michael Ovitz thought for a moment. "I'll arrange for my artists to help promote the film." "Excellent. Michael, with us working together, Link has absolutely no chance of winning," said Miguel Goss, president of Warner Brothers. Ovitz nodded. That was his opinion too. "Michael, I heard that Nicolas Cage, Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and others from CAA have a good relationship with Link and are involved in their film projects." "That's not good. This kind of thing should be prohibited," said Shirley Lansing, president of Paramount Pictures. "I understand." Michael Ovitz hung up the phone with a dark expression, slamming his fist on the table. When he picked up the phone, Michael Ovitz was elated. When he hung up, his face was grim. Langmuir shook his head and said, "You can't blame them. Although the major film studios are giants in the film industry, they have boards of directors, and all their work must be accountable to the shareholders." Michael Ovitz knew this too. But asking him to spend money to help with publicity and arrange for his artists to promote the films of the major film studios for free reminded him of last year's bet. To beat Link at the box office, he had invested money and manpower, putting in a lot of effort, but the result was disappointing. Also, the last time he asked his artists to help promote The Sugar Trap, it caused dissatisfaction among many artists. If it happened again, even more people would be dissatisfied. If artists are dissatisfied with management, their loyalty will decline, and they will consider switching companies. If many artists switch companies, it will affect CAA's interests, and he will not be able to explain it to the CAA board of directors. Michael Ovitz thought about it and regretted starting this alliance against Link. Let that bastard Link stand out if he wants to, and make money if he wants to. There is no direct conflict of interest between him and CAA. Even if Link's actions are too high profile and annoy him, he can just tolerate it and pretend that this bastard doesn't exist. Sigh. The alliance was already formed, and the partners had launched their own campaigns against Guess the Movies. If he, as the leader, suddenly announced his withdrawal, what would the partners think of him? What would others think of him, the number one figure in Hollywood's power structure? If he withdrew now, he couldn't expect to maintain his foothold in Hollywood. He was now in a bind. Michael Ovitz picked up the phone on the table and called Jay Maloney, head of the talent agency, demanding that he arrange for artists to help promote the films of the 7 major studios, using this method to exchange film and television resources from their production departments. The more they did, the more resources they would receive in the future. He also remembered Shirley Lansing's words. Nicolas Cage was on good terms with Link, and Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Julianne Moore, and others had starred in Link's films. This matter gave him a headache. He was the president of CAA, but he had no right to interfere in the private lives of the actors. Michael Ovitz thought for a moment, then called the agents of the actors, advising Nicholas and the others not to get too close to Link and not to participate in any of Guessing Pictures' film projects. He assured them that the company would compensate them with other roles for the lost parts. He also instructed Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock to be uncooperative and passive during the promotion of Speed, and that CAA's legal department would handle any problems that arose. Soon after, he received a call from Nicolas Cage's agent. Nicolas was very unhappy with his interference in the artist's private affairs and said he would consider terminating the contract if it happened again. Michael Ovitz was shocked and immediately called Nicolas Cage, urging him not to do that and assuring him that he wouldn't interfere in his personal life. After the accidents involving Robert Downey Jr., Richard Gere, and Dustin Hoffman, CAA was greatly affected, and Nicolas Cage was one of CAA's most important clients and its flagship star. In terms of importance, Nicolas Cage is higher than Tom Cruise. Nicolas Cage's uncle is the renowned director Francis Ford Coppola, a key figure in the Italian clique in Hollywood. Signing Nicolas Cage makes it easier to access the resources of the Italian clique. After hanging up the phone, Michael Ovitz cursed Link as a bastard. If Link hadn't ruined Robert Downey Jr. and his two friends, he wouldn't be so anxious about Nicolas Cage's future. Just after hanging up, Jay Maloney called. Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Julianne Moore were dissatisfied with the company's arrangements and wanted to terminate their contracts. "I won't allow it. Stop them," Michael Ovitz was furious. Sandra Bullock and Julianne Moore's departures weren't a big deal, but Keanu was. After River's death, Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Depp, and Nicolas Cage were considered the four most promising male actors in Hollywood at the time, with a great chance of becoming superstars. Johnny Depp was originally an artist under CAA, but in 1992 he followed his agent to Utah. The remaining three remained with CAA. If Keanu Reeves also switched to Utah, the smaller company might become too powerful and threaten CAA's dominance in the entertainment industry. He absolutely could not allow this to happen. However, Jay Maloney claimed the three were eager to terminate their contracts early and offered to cover the breach of contract penalties. Michael Ovitz launched into a tirade, demanding that Maloney tell the three that if they switched, they could forget about working with CAA directors and actors again, and that they would have no future in Hollywood. Maloney said he would personally persuade the three. Michael Ovitz also called Keanu Reeves, trying to persuade him to stay, but couldn't get through. Ovitz slammed his fist on the table and unleashed a torrent of abuse, even targeting the unrelated Link. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230: The Poaching War. Link also received news that Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Julianne Moore were preparing to switch agencies. He called Marty Bauer, president of Utah, urging him to try and sign the three, as they had great potential and he would continue to work with them in the future. Initially, during the preparation of Speed, anticipating the film's huge success and the immense popularity of Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, he had contacted Utah beforehand, asking them to send someone to approach the two to see if there was any chance of persuading them to switch agencies. Several months had passed, and he had almost forgotten about it, but unexpectedly, news came back now. Marty Bauer stated that he had arranged for a poaching team to contact the three, offering many attractive terms, including covering their severance pay, compensating them for losses due to contract termination, and offering preferential treatment on agent commissions. Utah showed great sincerity in this matter, and the probability of success was high. However, after the news spread, WMA and ICM also contacted the three, preparing to poach them with substantial sums, while CAA also made every effort to retain them. A poaching war ensued among the four agencies. This immediately attracted the attention of many in the industry, not only the four agencies but also Link himself. Although this matter was unrelated to Link, the three individuals poached had worked with him and had a good relationship with him. Now, these three were preparing to switch agencies, which seemed like Link's doing. He was using this method to retaliate against Michael Ovitz for suppressing him in the film industry. Some media speculated that this incident might be part of the summer box office battle. Before the summer season, CAA, in conjunction with the 7 major studios, planned to suppress guest movies film Speed and 7. Link couldn't compete with the 7 studios in terms of film promotion, so he planned to cause trouble within CAA to embarrass Michael Ovitz. Link's side did not respond to these speculations. During this time, he also received calls from Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Keanu Reeves stated that he didn't want to stay at CAA because the atmosphere within CAA had changed. The higher-ups began to frequently interfere in the artists' work, asking them to help promote movies they didn't like, preventing them from working in peace, and instructing them to be negative about the promotion of Speed. They threatened her with resources if she didn't cooperate. Their methods were outrageous. They didn't treat artists like human beings at all. Keanu Reeves strongly disliked CAA's management style and decided to switch agencies. Link supported him. Sandra Bullock's main reason for switching agencies was her age. She's 30 this year. Because CAA has so many artists, the internal competition is fierce, making it difficult for actresses like her to secure roles. In the past, she got many roles through personal connections or by working hard in auditions. CAA offered very limited assistance but wanted to take 10% of her salary as her agent's commission. She didn't want to stay with CAA, and Utah offered good terms, so she decided to give it a try. Sandra asked for his opinion, hoping for his support. Link also supported her, saying he would work with her again if the opportunity arose. Sandra happily invited him to dinner. Julianne Moore didn't call him but instead, during a date at Renee Zellweger's house, leaned against him and talked about it. Julianne Moore, 34, entered the industry in 1983 and subsequently played minor roles in numerous films and television series. In 1992, she played the second female lead in the thriller The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which propelled her to stardom. Following her rise to fame, CAA renegotiated her contract and placed greater emphasis on her, providing her with numerous film and advertising opportunities. Her current contract with CAA has over 4 years remaining. Switching agencies now would incur a $2 million penalty for breach of contract, wasting significant resources and resulting in substantial losses. Furthermore, after learning of her intention to leave, CAA offered her several film and advertising opportunities worth millions of dollars. Therefore, she is currently conflicted and wants to hear his opinion. Link, sensing her reluctance to leave, persuaded her to stay with CAA. He has a minor conflict with CAA President Michael Ovitz, but no conflict with CAA itself, and maintains a good personal relationship with Vice President Jay Maloney. If nothing unexpected happens, Michael Ovitz will likely move to Disney next year, at which point it's uncertain whose decision CAA will follow. Julianne Moore, having secured his support, happily burrowed back under the blanket to please him. Renee Zellweger teased her about her gluttony. After several days of maneuvering, CAA managed to retain Julianne Moore at a great cost. WMA successfully poached Keanu Reeves, and Sandra Bullock joined Utah. In this battle, WMA gained an advantage, Utah won a minor victory, and CAA suffered a silent loss. Thus ended the battle among the 4 major agencies. According to sources within CAA, Michael Ovitz was furious afterward, smashing several cups and threatening to blacklist Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Ovitz's anger stemmed not only from losing to Link again but also from his hatred of betrayal. Initially, he betrayed WMA, founding CAA with a few partners, becoming a major threat to WMA. To prevent this from happening at CAA, he implemented a system of cross-management for agents, meaning an artist had more than one agent, including a general agent, executive agent, film agent, television agent, and advertising agent. Artist management is typically separated from advertising and other agency matters. This is intended to prevent agents from taking artists with them when they switch agencies, and vice versa. However, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock abruptly ended the partnership, taking several agents and assistants with them. This demonstrates that his artist management system at CAA wasn't as effective as it seemed. If an artist is determined to switch agencies, or a competitor is willing to pay a hefty sum to poach them, a few agency contracts alone cannot stop them. This incident further angered Ovitz, who blamed Link for everything. Michael Ovitz wasn't one to back down easily. He immediately contacted several major media companies, demanding they refuse to promote Guest C Pictures' film in exchange for other promotional opportunities. Some agreed, some refused. The main reason was that Guest C Pictures had announced a minimum promotional budget of $15 million for 7, with no upper limit. This was a huge opportunity. Media companies are profit-driven entities and accountable to their boards of directors. They wouldn't pass up a lucrative opportunity. Even their rival, Time Warner, was no exception. Time Warner's business empire spans media, publishing, film, and television. Its subsidiaries include Warner Brothers Pictures and Warner Media. These two companies hold roughly equal status within the group. Their presidents are appointed and accountable to the board. High-performing companies receive board rewards, increased salaries and bonuses, while poorly performing management faces criticism and even replacement. This leads to differing attitudes towards guessing movies. Even though Warner Brothers Pictures is an adversary of guessing movies, Warner Media still collaborates with guessing movies, helping to promote its films. News Corporation's subsidiaries, 20th Century Fox, Fox News Channel, and Star Media, are similar. Viacom's Paramount Pictures and MTV Channel operate similarly. Unless senior management orders them not to promote guessing movies films, with the group bearing the losses, they are not obligated to do so. However, guessing movies is currently too small to attract the attention of the major media groups. This is why Link isn't worried about film promotion when competing with the Big 7 studios. But there are negative impacts, though. Under pressure from multiple sides, The companies under the 7 media groups knew that SC Pictures was at a disadvantage, so they offered higher bids than usual, hoping to reap the benefits. This was also to force the Link to continue betting. If they didn't bet more, the two films would only receive minimal promotional resources, inevitably putting them at a disadvantage in the summer box office battle, where they would be completely crushed by the 7 media groups. If they increased their bets, investing more money in promotion, a box office hit would be fine, but a box office failure would result in even greater losses for SC Pictures. This was exactly the outcome the 7 media groups wanted. Will Link continue betting? Many in Hollywood looked at Link. After considering it, Link demanded that the company increase its promotional budget, sparing no expense in promoting Speed and 7. The executives of the 7 media groups laughed upon receiving the news. Link was a good director, but not a good businessman. He was too inexperienced and didn't understand business warfare. This was Hollywood, their territory, essentially the house in a gambling game. They weren't worried about Link's film being a box office hit, they were only worried that Link would get scared and refuse to continue gambling. As long as Link dared to sit at the table, they were confident they could make him lose everything. Link's announcement of increased film marketing costs was also leaked to the media. The media considered his move risky and potentially leading SC Pictures to its demise. Many acquaintances, including Robert Shea, Greta Carter, editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair, and Aaron Kutch, deputy editor-in-chief of The Hollywood Reporter, called to advise him against being too tough. The Big 7 studios and their backers were powerful, and being hostile to SC Pictures wasn't a good thing. Several urged him to accept the offers from Entertainment Capital, release more shares, and with the support of Entertainment Capital, the Big 7 studios would treat him as one of their own. Link refused. The war with the Big 7 studios had just begun. He hadn't lost yet. How could he surrender? Even if he were to surrender, he would wait until he lost before considering it. Hearing this, those who tried to persuade him gave up. However, everyone believed that Link was doomed to lose this competition and would ultimately join one of the Big 7 studios. Link's foolish. No matter how capable he is, how can he fight against a group of people? Harvey Weinstein looked at the newspaper, shaking his head with a smile. He's too arrogant. He thinks that winning the bet against Ovitz and the others will allow him to withstand the pressure from the Big 7 studios. He's also too greedy, unwilling to share profits with Entertainment Capital. Naturally, the capital won't let him continue to exist. Castle Rock Studios president Robert Reiner sneered while sipping his coffee. Harvey Weinstein nodded in agreement. In the 1980s, when Miramax was still unprofitable, the Big 7 studios wouldn't have minded Miramax making a little money. But once Miramax made a fortune, the Big 7 studios began to take notice of Miramax and issued acquisition offers. If they didn't agree, the Big 7 studios would force them to agree. Harvey didn't want to go against capital, so he wisely sold the company to Disney, one of the Big 7 studios. Although he earned less money than before, he was very secure. Unlike Link, who is now practically the public enemy of the film industry. This was actually very unwise. In the end, guess the movies would lose in the competition and would still be acquired by one of the Big 7 studios, and Link's losses would be even greater. I heard you didn't accept Michael Ovitz's invitation, Robert Reiner asked. I still have a partnership with Guess the Movies, so it's not appropriate for me to participate in your operation. Besides, with so many of you involved, it doesn't matter whether Miramax is there or not. Harvey tapped his cigarette ash, took a puff, and left. That's true. 4 of the Big 7 studios have agreed to participate. What can Link fight back with? Let him defeat us in the summer season, and continue to suppress us in the winter season, making sure he can't hold his head up. If everything goes smoothly, we should be able to drive Link out of Hollywood before Christmas next year. With this guy around, none of us will have a good time. Robert Reiner's face was full of resentment and anger when he spoke of Link. Before Guess Movies appeared, Castle Rock Films was a top 3 independent film studio, earning tens of millions of dollars annually, sometimes even hundreds of millions. After Guess Movies rose to prominence, Castle Rock's revenue plummeted, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. He was now more eager than anyone for Guess Movies to go bankrupt. Harvey nodded, his gaze falling on a newspaper article. Guess Movies Speed was opening on Friday. After so much pressure, how much box office revenue could this film possibly generate? Would Guess Movies suffer huge losses? Harvey loved watching this kind of drama unfold. Chapter 231 A Minor Victory. June 10. Guess what film Speed was released amidst numerous obstacles. The reason for this was that 3 other major films were released on the same day. The first was Universal Pictures' comedy The Hillbilly Takes Over New York, starring Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland, with a production cost of $22 million. The second was Paramount Pictures' Beverly Hills Cop 3, starring Eddie Murphy. The first film in the series was also the first to be released in over 2,000 theaters across the U.S., grossing $316 million worldwide. The second film, released in 1987, grossed $299 million worldwide. The third film, with the original cast and crew, is conservatively estimated to gross over $200 million worldwide. The third film was Disney's comedy The Wild Bunch, with a production cost of $35 million. Adding to this were films still showing in theaters such as The Flintstones, The Con Man, and The Crow, as well as The Lion King, which was released next week. For Speed to break through the competition from numerous blockbusters and achieve a good box office result would be extremely difficult. Considering its $30 million production cost and $10 million marketing budget, many media outlets predicted the film might lose money, potentially marking the beginning of Paramount Pictures' downfall. However, after its opening weekend, Speed exceeded everyone's expectations. It grossed $20.75 million in 2,147 theaters across North America, taking the top spot at the box office. Second place went to Beverly Hills Cop 3, which opened in 2,748 theaters and grossed $11.42 million. The average daily gross per theater was only $1,337, far below the passing grade and significantly lower than Paramount Pictures and media expectations. This film had a production cost of $50 million. Before its release, to overshadow Speed in terms of publicity, Paramount Pictures increased its marketing budget from $5 million to $10 million and invited big stars like Tom Cruise to promote it. Furthermore, Paramount Pictures' distribution division increased the number of theaters showing the film to over 2,700, more than 300 more than the theaters where Jurassic Park premiered. Originally predicted to gross at least $30 million in its opening weekend, it fell short of half that prediction. The box office results sparked heated discussions within the entertainment industry. Some marveled at Speed's strong competitiveness, managing to break through the encirclement of 7 or 8 blockbusters and claim the top spot. Others envied Guess Movie's good fortune, with Dumb and Dumber being a huge hit in April and Speed in May, surpassing the 7 major studios' 7 major films. Still others felt it was a pity, as Guess Movie's consecutive blockbuster releases would likely have allowed it to survive longer. Many media outlets also published articles discussing the gains and losses of the 2 films. Complete Cinema magazine analyzed 3 reasons for Speed's opening weekend success. First, the film's plot was brilliantly designed. With gunfights and car chases, police gangster battles, handsome men and beautiful women, romantic subplots, and the explosions that summer moviegoers crave, the film boasts a wealth of highlights and rich content, making it a high-quality commercial film. Secondly, the casting was successful. The male lead, Keanu Reeves, is handsome, agile, and one of Hollywood's most popular and handsome actors. The female lead, Sandra Bullock, is beautiful, hot, and sexy, appealing to male audiences. The two played a couple with great chemistry. After its release, the film was well received by a large youth audience. Thirdly, Guess What Films invested heavily in promotion, particularly in television advertising. These 3 factors are the main reasons why Speed's box office exceeded media predictions. Total Film magazine analyzed 3 reasons for the box office failure of Beverly Cop 3. First, as the third installment in the series, the plot was too cliched, lacking fresh content, leading to audience fatigue. Second, the film industry has seen a surge of fresh comedies in recent years, including heartwarming family comedies like Home Alone, Quentin Tarantino's dark romantic comedies, and Jim Carrey's slapstick comedies. The success of Carrey's 2 comedies demonstrates that audiences' tastes are evolving, preferring new experiences, while Eddie Murphy's performance in Beverly Cop 3 was too formulaic and had been rejected by the market. Third, the release of too many major films this week meant that lower-quality films were less competitive, resulting in lower box office returns. These are the main reasons why this blockbuster series suffered a box office failure. Simply put, Speed was too strong, and Beverly Cop 3 was too weak, one a box office hit, the other a flop. Both are choices made by the market and audiences. Normally, this wouldn't be big news. These two films were used by Guessing Pictures and the Big Seven studios respectively as weapons in the battle for box office dominance, giving them additional functions and meanings. This makes the unexpected box office victory of Speed over Beverly Hills Cop 3 all the more intriguing. Furthermore, The Flintstones, in its fourth week of release, ranked third at the box office, with $6.83 million in its opening week, an accumulative North American box office of $94.63 million, projected to surpass $100 million next week. Fourth place went to The Big Bang Theory, also released this week, with $5.05 million. Fifth place was The Hillbilly Takes Over New York City, with $4.37 million. The former might lose money, while the latter barely broke even. Total Film magazine had to declare that Speed had triumphed this week in the box office competition. The magazine featured a cartoon on its cover depicting Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock driving the bus from the movie, violently crashing through several roadblocks bearing the names of films like Beverly Hills Cop 3 and The Big Bang Theory. A golden winner label adorned the front of the bus. Shit. God, why is this happening? After the weekly box office results were released, Michael Ovitz and executives from several film companies cursed at the figures. Before the summer blockbuster season, they had meticulously planned to have 5 or 6 blockbusters gang up on Speed, essentially 5 or 6 strong men beating up a young boy, only to be completely defeated. This was infuriating. Have these damn audiences never seen a cop movie? Speed is just an ordinary cop movie, far inferior to the action films of Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis. Why are they even going to see it? Michael Ovitz was furious. North American audiences seemed to be working against him. It was the same when The Sugar-Coating Trap was released last year. If the audience had been more obedient and supported The Sugar-Coating Trap, they might not have lost. Speed was the same. While it was decent, it wasn't much better than the other films, yet its box office was so much higher. Michael Ovitz stared at the newspaper, took a few deep breaths, and called several partners to express his dissatisfaction. Initially, when discussing suppressing Guessing Movies films, he suggested releasing several high-quality blockbusters to counter Speed. While these films sounded like blockbusters, apart from Beverly Hills Cop 3, the rest were rather weak, more like hastily assembled money-laundering films of mediocre quality. The 7 major studios bore the biggest responsibility for losing to Guessing Movies at the box office. Warner Brothers president Miguel Goss told him to calm down, as Disney's animated blockbuster The Lion King was releasing this week, which would definitely impact Speed's box office. Ovitz was furious. Speed had grossed $20.75 million in its opening weekend, would break even next week, and was projected to gross at least $60 million in North America, another blockbuster. Despite their combined efforts to suppress it, Guessing Movies continued to perform well. What was the point of this suppression? Universal Pictures president Sid Schellenberg said they were company presidents, high-level employees, not owners, and this was all they could do. They couldn't afford to lose their jobs by suppressing Guess.com. 20th Century Fox president Barry Diller told him to calm down. The operation against Guess.com had only just begun, and it was a long-term battle. A small loss at the beginning wasn't a big deal. He should believe that final victory would belong to them. Ovitz cursed shit, and slammed down the phone. This small defeat wasn't due to his incompetence, but rather the disunity among the alliance members, each with their own agendas. How could this situation defeat the wealthy and powerful Link? Michael, Guess.com is developing very rapidly, no less than the 7 big studios. We are a talent agency, and cooperating with Guess.com would be more beneficial. I suggest abandoning the subsequent actions against Guess.com and instead cooperating with them. The company will also benefit from this, said Vice President Jay Maloney. Cooperate with Link? HMPH, wait until you become the president of CAA. Right now, I'm the president, and the company's attitude towards Guess the Movies must be up to me, Michael Ovitz shouted. Jay Maloney shrugged and said nothing more. After speaking, Ovitz realized he had lost control of his emotions and softened his tone to apologize to Jay Maloney. At this moment, it wasn't that he didn't want to improve his relationship with Link, but that he couldn't. He had already sided with the alliance and become an important figure within it. If he suddenly changed his stance and cooperated with Link, what credibility would he have in the eyes of others? Furthermore, Entertainment Capital had already set its sights on Guess the Movies, and since Link was unwilling to share, Entertainment Capital would continue to hunt down Guess the Movies. They would never let such a large piece of meat be swallowed up by Link alone. In other words, Their actions against Link and Guess the Movies had been tacitly approved by the Capitol side, who were ready to watch the show. If he suddenly stopped acting at this time, he would appear incompetent in the eyes of others, which was inconsistent with his status as the #1 person on the Hollywood power list. In addition, he had lost 2 consecutive defeats to Link, losing a lot of funds, resources, and reputation. If he doesn't win around and get back what he's lost, he'll have a knot in his heart and won't be happy for the rest of his life. Jay Maloney, hearing how serious he sounded, stopped trying to persuade him. He planned to talk to Link again when he played golf the next day, urging him to take a small victory and accept the management of the Capitol, and not to make too much of a fuss. Chapter 232 An Encounter on the Stadium. After the opening week's box office results were released, many media outlets jumped on the bandwagon, reporting that Speed had beaten several other blockbusters to become the top-grossing film of the week. Guess what? The film's publicity department seized the opportunity to have critics enthusiastically praise the film, touting its high production value, gunfights, car chases, explosions, handsome men and beautiful women, and non-stop action, making it a must-see action movie of the summer. Meanwhile, several other films released at the same time, due to poor box office performance, had their publicity costs drastically cut to avoid further losses. Currently, in terms of publicity, apart from The Lion King, which opened on Friday, no other film can compare to Speed. Influenced by the publicity, Speed's box office revenue actually increased in its second week, earning $29.23 million, bringing its 2-week total to $49.98 million. However, this week's box office ranking is only second. The champion is The Lion King, which earned $44.65 million in 2,552 theaters, averaging $16,000 per theater per day, making it the highest-grossing commercial film in terms of daily average revenue. Third on the list is Werewolf, released this week, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Jack Nicholson, which grossed $17.91 million in its opening weekend, a respectable result. While these 3 films are thriving, the box office performance of other films has rapidly declined, with the highest-grossing Beverly Hills Cop 3 only managing $7.36 million, a film destined to bring huge losses to Paramount Pictures. Link, while things are going well, why don't you consider pulling back and releasing some more shares? I believe that even if you value it at $600 million, someone would be willing to raise funds. On the Pelican Hill golf course, under a blue sky and amidst lush green grass, 3 men dressed in white golf shirts and light-colored casual pants walked and talked, carrying golf clubs. Too fast. The first round of financing was at the beginning of the year, and the second round won't be until the second half of next year at the latest. Link, wearing a baseball cap, walked in the middle, flanked by Jerome Preston and Jay Maloney, who were shorter and thinner than him. Then you should release your financing timeline in advance, indicating your willingness to continue raising funds. Otherwise, Entertainment Capital will see you as a rival and join forces against you. Competition in Hollywood is not as simple as just media coverage and box office competition, Jerome Preston said, raising his thick eyebrows. I understand. But it's not that serious. The rise of guessing movies not only takes away a share of the box office revenue from the Big 7 studios, but also intensifies competition and weeding out the weak in the Hollywood film market. This forces the Big 7 studios to make changes to improve the competitiveness of their films. Film companies that cannot improve their competitiveness are destined to be eliminated. From this perspective, the existence of guessing movies is also in the interest of Entertainment Capital. They are happy to see this kind of competition. The catfish effect. Jim Malone shook his head. Guessing movies isn't a catfish, it's a great white shark. Last year, guessing movies ranked 6th in total box office revenue. This year, its total box office revenue may be even higher. This means that the Entertainment Capital behind Hollywood will benefit less, and they won't tolerate this, Link said. You also said they'll tolerate it. As of now, it hasn't reached the point where they can't tolerate it. He had discussed this matter with Vanguard Capital and Morgan Stanley. He indicated that guessing movies' next round of financing would be over $1 billion, and they would prioritize accepting investment from friendly parties. Friendly parties refer to those willing to provide assistance when guessing movies is under external pressure. Vanguard Capital and Morgan Stanley Capital saw the strong performance of guess movies this year. The first film was a small loss. The second currently has $125 million in North America and $220 million worldwide, and the third has grossed over $100 million in North America in 5 weeks. This performance surpassed that of films from the Big Seven studios. As shareholders, they were also beneficiaries and wanted to continue to benefit. Upon hearing Link mention that the second round of financing would prioritize investments from friendly parties, the two investment firms immediately expressed their willingness to provide assistance within their capabilities, asking how they could help. Link said he didn't need help, only a fair chance for guest movies to compete with the Big Seven studios, and that the Big Seven's backers should not interfere until the outcome was clear. Morgan Stanley and Vanguard Capital, as the two largest investment firms behind the Hollywood film industry, had the capability to do this. After a meeting, the two companies agreed to his request. However, they also had a condition: if he lost, he would relinquish his controlling stake in guest movies while remaining as chairman for at least 5 years. Link agreed. After becoming a Microsoft shareholder, he had enough capital to no longer need to make money through filmmaking. His reason for continuing to direct was to create more high-quality films, improve film production skills, and enhance his physical fitness. Losing didn't matter, he could remain chairman or director. However, he made a request: if he won, both investment firms would support his acquisition of one of the 7 major film studios. Greg Davis, Chief Investment Officer of Vanguard Capital, and Hank Paulson, Senior Partner at Morgan Stanley, were stunned by his demand. This guy's ambition was too great. He not only wanted to defeat the 7 major studios, but also wanted to acquire them through guessing games. It was like a python trying to swallow a dragon. He wasn't afraid of choking. The two agreed to his request. First, Link's chances of success were slim. Second, if Link succeeded, both companies would benefit and share in the victory. Finally, Link's ability to defeat and acquire one of the 7 studios demonstrated his competence, making him a valuable asset in the future. With assurances from both companies, Link could confidently compete with the Big Seven studios and even find time to play golf in his spare time. Contrary to popular belief, he wasn't anxious or stressed about the pressure from the Big Seven, working late into the night and becoming a workaholic. Link, the Big Seven are coming on strong. Are you confident you can hold out until next year's funding? Jerome Preston asked. Pretty much. So far, the company's operations are doing quite well. Link walked to the golf ball, checked the distance, pulled out a 5-iron. Aimed the club head at the side of the ball, tested the angle and distance, then raised the club and struck the ball with moderate force. Whoosh! The white ball soared into the air, landing on a flat area more than 30 meters away, rolling forward more than 3 meters, and stopping less than 5 feet from the hole. Good shot, another birdie, Gerald and Jerome applauded. A birdie is a shot that goes in 1 stroke under par, 2 strokes under par is an eagle, and 3 strokes under par is an albatross. The fewer strokes used, the better, similar to playing billiards. A birdie on a par 4 like Link's is a pretty good score, and could give him a chance to reach the 3rd round in a professional tournament. After the round, the 3 went to the club's bar for drinks and conversation. Link and Jay Maloney discussed CAA, asking if CAA was planning to blacklist guest movies and prohibit its artists from working on their films. Jay Maloney indicated that there were internal disagreements within CAA on this issue. Michael Ovitz wanted to blacklist guest movies and prohibit its artists from appearing in films produced by guest movies. However, the vast majority of CAA's artists were unwilling to get involved in the conflict between the two companies and were willing to work with any film company, as long as the role was good and the pay was high enough. Michael Ovitz was worried that artists might leave because of this, and while he hadn't explicitly banned his artists from participating in the guessing game, he had only made such requests to CAA's major clients, leaving the decision to them. Link also stated that he had no intention of blacklisting CAA artists and would treat all CAA actors fairly during film casting. During their conversation, he noticed Michelle Pfeiffer had also come to the bar, accompanied by Winona Ryder, with whom he had previously worked on Innocent Times. Link invited them over to talk. Chapter 233 Beautiful Woman. Michelle, congratulations on another great movie, Link said, beer in hand, in the booth. Congratulations to you too. Guess what? Speed is fantastic. A lot of people are saying you're incredibly talented, your investments almost never lose money, Michelle Pfeiffer said with a smile. The woman wore a black sleeveless dress, her long, golden brown hair cascading over her shoulders, revealing her slender neck and sexy collarbones. While not voluptuous, her figure exuded a delicate, bony beauty. Link couldn't help but recall the many nights he'd spent with her. He had experienced almost every aspect of a woman's allure, but even after a few days apart, he was still captivated by the mature elegance emanating from her sexy body. That was the charm of a beautiful woman. She wasn't like fast food, something you tire of after a few bites. She was more like a book. The more you read, the more you savored it. Not as amazing as you say. Finding Speed was largely a matter of luck. If Sandra hadn't come to me with a script, I wouldn't have discovered this project, Link chuckled. But you still found out, invested in the movie, and even managed to get it to the top of the box office despite the combined efforts of the 7 major studios. You're amazing. Michelle Pfeiffer's eyes sparkled with admiration and adoration. If there weren't other people around, she would have been tempted to throw herself into Link's arms and offer him a passionate kiss and her fragrant body. Ahem, are you two acquaintances? Winona Ryder, sitting next to her, sensed something was off. She was usually closer to Link. Before her breakup with Depp, she had met him a few times. But after they sat down, Michelle and Link were chatting so enthusiastically that she, an acquaintance, had no chance to interject. She looked at the two of them suspiciously, her delicate face full of a thirst for gossip. I've met Link many times. Is it strange that we're acquaintances? Michelle Pfeiffer smiled slightly. Winona Ryder snorted. Michelle Pfeiffer used to be closer to Richard Gere, Dustin Hoffman, and others, while Link didn't get along with Richard Gere and the others. Logically, Link and Michelle Pfeiffer shouldn't have a very harmonious relationship. The truth is, the two seemed to have a good relationship, their words carrying a subtle hint of ambiguity and illicit affair. Considering Michelle was 36 and Link was only 22, a 14-year age gap, yet their relationship was so ambiguous. Rumors circulated that Link preferred older women. Could it be true? Winona stared at the two, deciding to observe them closely. Winona, what movie are you filming lately? Link, not wanting Winona to see through him, changed the subject. Winona shrugged. I'm not a big star like Michelle, I don't have that many resources. I just do whatever movies are available, I don't have the right to choose. Michelle Pfeiffer rolled her eyes at her. Link asked what movie you're filming, just say it directly, why all the nonsense? Okay, I'm currently filming Love Weaves Dreams, a low-budget romantic comedy, directed by Jocelyn Morehouse. Are you satisfied with this answer? Winona Reed pouted, looking mischievous and playful, but her delicate and charming appearance prevented the expression from being offensive. Speak properly. Link's talking to you, why are you making that face? Michelle Pfeiffer tried to pinch her lips, but Winona laughed and dodged, pointing at Michelle and Link with a mischievous grin. I'm starting to think there's something going on between you two. Tell me honestly, what's your relationship? Nothing, don't guess. Michelle tickled her a few times, and Winona laughed heartily, leaning on Michelle's shoulder and whispering something, making Michelle's cheeks flush. Link shook his head. Women's focus is indeed different from men's. Women care more about men, while men focus more on work and career. He wasn't interested in listening to their whispers and continued chatting with Jerome and Gemwaltoni. Hey, Link, you're playing here too. Director James Cameron and Schwarzenegger walked over and stopped to greet him when they saw him there. Link and Director Cameron were neighbors, often seeing each other when they lived in the Golden Oak Apartments, so they were acquaintances. Director Cameron and Schwarzenegger were clients of CAA and were also acquaintances of Gemwaltoni. Link invited the two to sit down and chat. Jamie, you mentioned last time that after finishing True Lies, you were planning to film Titanic. When will filming begin? True Lies is a Fox project, scheduled for release at the end of July. It's one of the key projects the Big 7 studios are using to suppress Seven. However, the release date is decided by Fox's distribution department, and director Cameron has no say in film distribution. Link doesn't consider him a rival. Not so fast. Director Cameron gulped down a large glass of beer, rubbed the beer stains on his chin, and began explaining the difficulties of filming this movie. Initially, Director Cameron planned to use the Titanic sinking incident to make a low-budget romance film, telling a simple love story, to counter critics who said he only made action blockbusters with flashy scenes and couldn't make delicate art films. However, after learning the full history of the Titanic, he was deeply moved and realized that a simple story couldn't depict the tragedy of the sinking and the shock it brought to the world. So, Director Cameron's old habits returned, and he demanded the screenwriters rewrite the script, expanding a simple love story into an epic disaster film. In terms of filming, Cameron wasn't going to fool the audience. He planned to build a real luxury cruise ship modeled after the original Titanic. According to the original design, the ship would be over 200 meters long, and the interior would be decorated in the style of early 20th century luxury cruise ships, extremely opulent. Following this, the film's production costs skyrocketed, from the initial $60 million to $160 million. The budget was too high. The risks also increased dramatically. 20th Century Fox was also hesitant about investing in the project, as it was currently stuck in the approval process. Link: "This is partly your fault," director Cameron said. "Blame me? What does this have to do with me? When I first talked to you about this movie, you said why not film the sinking of the Titanic? The 200-meter-long ship slowly disappearing into the sea, the thousands of people on board helplessly struggling in the face of disaster, facing life and death, and the test of humanity. That scene would be incredibly spectacular and moving. After hearing what you said that day, I couldn't sleep for 2 days and 2 nights, my mind constantly replaying that scene. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. I reread the original script and felt it was terrible. All the content in the script combined couldn't compare to the impact and emotional resonance of that scene. So, without hesitation, I abandoned the original script and chose to rewrite it. I wanted to make an epic blockbuster," director Cameron shrugged. "Because of you, the production cost of this project has become $160 million, haha." Link: "You do bear some responsibility," Gemmalone joked. Link chuckled, "So that's what it is. I thought you were complaining that my movie was taking away Fox's box office revenue, reducing their profits and causing them to run into financial difficulties, which led to your film project failing to pass approval. This isn't your fault. You can only blame them for not being capable enough to make good movies," director Cameron laughed. "Jamie, Fox's performance these past 2 years has been mediocre, and they're facing financial constraints. They'll be more cautious with their investments. If your big-budget project doesn't get approved at Fox, you can try Guessing Pictures. Guessing Pictures may lack many things, but they certainly don't lack money to make movies," Link said. While he was chatting with director Cameron and the others, Michelle Pfeiffer and Winona Ryder were watching. When they heard Link say that they lacked many things but not money, Winona rolled her eyes and muttered on Michelle's shoulder, "This guy really acts like a nouveau riche." Michelle chuckled and replied, "Don't you think Link is incredibly charming?" "There aren't many people in Hollywood who dare say that," Winona pursed her lips without refuting. While Hollywood has 7 major film studios, their presidents aren't the owners. When investing in mega film projects, they need to report to their parent companies, and the decision rests with the higher-ups. Link, however, is the owner of Hollywood's largest independent film company. He has the authority to make decisions on projects large and small, wielding more power than the presidents of the 7 major studios. This is why the presidents of the 7 major studios don't rank as high on the Hollywood power ranking as they do with the presidents of major talent agencies and independent production companies. Winona looked at Link's young, handsome, and imposing face, and gave a slight snort. This guy is a year younger than her, how could he be so powerful? He must be a freak. Winona leaned close to Michelle's ear and asked you if Link was impressive on the ship, and if he was a freak. Michelle, remembering Link's performance, blushed and glared at her. "Link, are you serious?" director Cameron said with a serious expression. "The initial budget for the big ship project is $160 million. After filming begins, the costs may increase, potentially exceeding $160 million, because of the high cost." After revising the script, he didn't choose his old studio, Carlock Pictures, or Guess the Movies, but instead partnered with Fox. Currently, only the big 7 studios can afford a film with a production cost exceeding $100 million. Partnering with an independent production company could result in the project failing before filming is completed, leaving it an unfinished project. "Jamie, I understand your thinking. The production cost is too high, and the project's risk is extremely high. The investment might fail. However, I like this story and believe in your abilities. If Fox isn't willing to invest, you can come to Guess the Movies. I guarantee the initial funding will be no less than $120 million, and as long as there aren't any major problems during filming, the funding will support the film until completion. You should know that Guess the Movies isn't short of money, and neither am I." Link spoke with great conviction and a powerful voice, easily gaining the trust of his audience. Director Cameron nodded and shook his hand. "This guy does look really cool," Winona Reed remarked, looking at Link. "What, all smitten?" Michelle Pfeiffer teased. A fleeting blush crossed Winona's pretty face as she put her arm around Michelle's shoulder and muttered, "So what if I'm smitten? It's normal for women to admire handsome and strong men, okay? Yes, very normal." Michelle smiled slightly, her gaze towards Link growing even more infatuated. After seeing off director Cameron and Schwarzenegger, the band invited by the club began the performance. Link listened for a while, then, finding it a bit noisy, prepared to leave early. Michelle Pfeiffer also prepared to leave, but Winona Reed, seemingly drunk, leaned against Michelle, her fair cheeks flushed, muttering about another drink. Michelle Pfeiffer looked at him helplessly and asked him to help take Winona to her home to rest. Link had no choice but to arrange a car to take Winona to Michelle's house, and even helped carry her upstairs to the bedroom and onto the bed. Winona was a little over 1.6 meters tall, slender, and weighed less than 50 kilograms. For a strong man like him, carrying her was no heavier than carrying a teddy bear. After Winona fell asleep, Michelle Pfeiffer snuggled up to him, her slender arms wrapped around his neck as she whispered her longing, and they cuddled from the living room to the bedroom next door. The two had been dating since July of last year, and had gone on dozens of dates, so they knew the way around quite well. It was like driving home at the end of the year. They didn't need navigation to remind them. They knew where to get on the highway, where to turn, where to accelerate, and which lane to take to avoid traffic jams. But just as they started driving, the door was suddenly pushed open, and Winona Ryder, wearing a white slip dress, stood barefoot in the doorway, arms crossed, looking at the two of them. Her delicate and playful face still had a half smile on her face, showing no sign of drunkenness. "Winona, are you pretending to be drunk?" Michelle covered his chest with a blanket and shouted, embarrassed and annoyed. "How was my acting?" Winona Ryder asked, her cheeks flushed. Michelle Pfeiffer glared at her, grabbed her arm, and pulled her inside, leaving only the moon hanging lonely outside the window, silently watching the clothes strewn on the floor and the tireless youth beneath the undulating blankets. After a vibrant night, Link returned to the company to continue his busy work. Chapter 234 Not Tonight. These are the new projects for the second half of the year. Yes, after review by the production department, there are 6 projects in total. Link took a look at several documents. After a busy first half of the year, 5 films had been completed, including The Mask, The Butterfly Effect, Rumble in the Bronx, Good Will Hunting, and The Man from Earth. 3 more films were in production: Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise, Ang Lee's Sense and Sensibility, and Frank Darabont's The Shawshank Redemption. The 6 new projects for the second half of the year included Link's new film, The Sixth Sense, Paranormal Activity 2, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2, and Hachi, A Dog's Tale, all in collaboration with Columbia Pictures, the crime comedy At All Costs, poached from Castle Rock, and Run Back the Groom, in collaboration with MGM. These projects all had relatively high budgets. The Sixth Sense had a budget of $40 million, with Link's directorial salary at $12 million. Before the film received funding, he could take a smaller salary. After funding, his salary would have to increase, plus a share for the director. Hachi, A Dog's Tale is preparing to cast a top male star as the professor, with a budget of $40 million. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2 will continue to cast Jim Carrey as the male lead. At his suggestion, Carrey's personal salary has reached $20 million, making him the highest-paid male star in the industry and a Utah icon. Jennifer Aniston has been invited to play the female lead. Currently, Jennifer's salary is not high as Friends Season 1 has not yet been released. The film's budget is $38 million. Paranormal Activity 2 will be written and produced by Link, and directed by Curtis Hanson, director of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The plot continues the story of the first film, with the protagonists being Katie's sister, her husband, and children. The main plot revolves around Katie giving her sister Christy a necklace before disappearing. After moving into a new house, Christy discovers the necklace has mysteriously disappeared. To find out why, she and her husband install cameras in their home, which again capture terrifying footage. Apart from Monica Bellucci's cameo appearance, the rest of the cast is newcomers, and the budget is relatively low at $2.2 million. At All Costs is a film project that Liz Grosser, the producer, brought in from Castle Rock Pictures. It's slated to star Nicole Kidman, and has a relatively high budget of $22 million. Link has read the script for At All Costs and feels it's rather mediocre, not as good as Gone Girl in its genre. However, given Liz Grosser and Nicole Kidman's reputation, he'll invest and give it a try. If it loses money, he'll consider it a balanced investment. Run Back the Groom has a budget of $25 million, and they plan to invite Gus Van Sant, who is experienced in this type of film, to direct. The total budget for the 6 film projects reaches $167 million. Recently, Guess Movies signed a cooperation agreement with Columbia Pictures, with Columbia investing $500 million to co-produce 10 films over the next 3 years. Guess Movies will produce, Columbia Pictures will handle distribution, and Guess Movies will receive a larger share of the profits if the box office exceeds a certain figure. Link plans to include 4 of these films in the cooperation agreement to alleviate the company's production cost pressure. After reading it, Link signed the document. Daniel, when casting for At All Costs, you can contact Sophia first. Never mind, I'll call her later to ask if she's interested. If not, we'll look for someone else, okay? When are you planning to shoot The Sixth Sense? Do you have any plans? If you're shooting it soon, our production department needs to prepare in advance to avoid clashing with other projects, Daniel DeVito asked. No rush. I'm the producer and editor for The Shawshank Redemption. After I finish what I'm doing, I have to go to the film set. The Sixth Sense won't be shot until the end of the year. The story in the script is also set in autumn and winter. Alright. Then let's prepare for other projects first. Daniel DeVito put away the folder, his large, fat buttocks pushing back in his chair as he left. Link shook his head, picked up the phone, and called Sophia, asking where she was and what she was doing. Sophia said she was in the recording studio, overseeing the actor's post-production recording. She wanted to finish post-production on The Man from Earth quickly so the film could be released sooner. Link asked her if she was interested in directing a new film, a female-centric movie. Sophia said she wanted to look at the script and asked him to bring it back after get off work. She would also be going to the hillside villa that evening. After hanging up, Link went to the film production center to check on the post-production of the butterfly effect. The film had a lot of special effects, and post-production was expected to be completed by August. Ring ring. Ring ring. While watching the animation effects, his phone rang a few times. Not wanting to disturb others, Link went outside to answer the call. It was Winona Ryder calling. After a night of conversation, Winona had become much softer, her voice sweet and delicate. Link, where are you? At the company? What's up? Could you come to my house tonight? I can come to your place too. Winona Ryder, having rested all day, seemed a little out of sorts. Her voice was sweet but husky. Tonight, Link thought of Winona's delicate figure and melodious voice, and his heart warmed. Then he suddenly remembered that Sophia was coming tonight, and Milla Jovovich would probably be coming too. He didn't have time to go out tonight. Not tonight, I have things to do tonight, HMPH, then when are you free? I want to see you and chat with you more, okay, Winona Reed asked. Tomorrow, I'm free around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I'll come to your place, okay, tomorrow afternoon then, it's a deal, see you there. Winona Reed immediately perked up. Her joy could be felt even over the phone. Link sensed something was wrong. Could Winona have developed feelings after just a fleeting encounter? He called Michelle Pfeiffer to sound out the situation. Michelle Pfeiffer laughed incessantly, saying it might be true, that Winona was a girl who took things seriously, and if she wasn't interested in him, she wouldn't have pretended to be drunk and followed him home from the club. Link shook his head, telling Michelle Pfeiffer to speak ill of him to Winona, advising her not to fall for playboys, and especially not to invest too much emotion. Michelle said it wouldn't work, because he was so amazing. After meeting him, other men became unattractive, and no woman would want to leave him. Link told her to try her best to persuade him, and if that didn't work, then they'd talk about it. After hanging up the phone, Link returned to the production center to check on the production work. That evening, Link returned to the villa on the hillside with a script. Sophia, Milla Jovovich, Monica, and the newly arrived Liu Xiaoli and Liu Kaiankian were all there. After the family had dinner, Monica and Liu Xiaoli cleaned up in the dining room, Milla Jovovich walked the dog with Liu Kaiankian on the villa's lawn, and Link and Sophia went to the study to read the script. Sophia's evaluation of the script was mediocre. At All Costs tells the story of a female TV presenter who, after becoming famous, finds her husband becoming an obstacle to her career. To get rid of him, she uses her beauty to seduce 3 rebellious youths, asking them to help kill him. Sophia said she didn't like the protagonist's story, couldn't resonate with it, and had no interest in directing. Link didn't force her. A director is also an artist. The most important thing when creating is liking the story in the script, having the desire and passion to bring that story to life for the audience. This is the inner driving force. Creation without passion is painful, and the resulting film won't be very good. Link, as a director, understood this. Whatever you want. There are a lot of good scripts in the Guessing Game Studios script library. You can take a look when you have time and pick a few to practice with, Link said. Sophia put down the script, turned, and sat on his lap. If The Man from Earth does well at the box office, I plan to continue directing low-budget films, like you, starting with low-budget films, and then directing big-budget productions after gaining enough experience. That's a good idea. How is the post-production of The Man from Earth going? When can we see the finished film? Link asked, his arm around the girl's slender waist. About half a month more. How long will the post-production of The Butterfly Effect take? A little over a month, not much longer. I feel like my movie might be a hit. How about we have a box office contest? If the loser, we go on a roller coaster. Sophia smiled close to him. Would that be too childish? Link frowned, pretending to be hesitant. Of course not, it's settled. Sophia happily kissed him, not letting him refuse. After discussing the script, Link and Sophia went to the gazebo outside the villa to eat fruit and chat with Monica Liuzziali. Looking down at the brightly lit Los Angeles city below, they felt a sense of serene detachment from the hustle and bustle of the world. The only jarring moment was Milla Jovovich teaching Liuzziali Russian, chattering away. That evening, Liuzziali took Liuzziali to the side villa instead of staying there. Although their relationship was practically public, Liuzziali was still reserved in front of others, and Link didn't pressure her. It was another lively night. The next day, Link got up early to exercise. His increased physical fitness had not only improved his physique but also made his rest more efficient. He could sleep 4 or 5 hours and feel refreshed, unlike Quentin Tarantino and Ben Affleck, who would feel exhausted after watching a striptease. In the morning, Link and the athletic Milla Jovovich ran 5 kilometers on the mountain trail, then worked out for over an hour in the villa's gym. After working up a good sweat and taking a shower, he felt refreshed and clean. Looking in the mirror, he felt he looked even more handsome. His features more prominent and defined, less than 40% the same as 3 years ago. When Sophia woke up yawning, seeing him so energetic, she excitedly said he had absorbed their energy, which was why he was in such good shape, while she felt completely drained. Link encouraged her to exercise more. Of the family members, Milla Jovovich, who already enjoyed exercising, started practicing martial arts at his suggestion and dedicated time to training each week, resulting in good physical condition. Monica and Liuzziali ran, did yoga, and aerobics daily, regularly maintaining their skin, and were also in excellent shape. Only Sophia was rather lazy and indifferent to exercise. After breakfast, Link and Liuzziali went to work, while the others were free to do as they pleased. After handling some work, they visited Winona Reed's house in the afternoon with gifts, chatting about work, the new script, and other happy things. Winona is actually quite introverted and sensitive. Coupled with the intense competition in Hollywood, people with her personality are more prone to depression and social withdrawal. Link didn't want to upset her because of his own issues, so he was more patient with her. After finishing his work in personal matters, Link flew to Ohio on Thursday to join the crew of The Shawshank Redemption, where he served as producer and editor, and sometimes also as art director and cinematographer. To increase his involvement, he even made a cameo appearance as a Chinese-American prisoner. Tim Robbins was very moved when he saw this, saying that a big director like him was willing to work as a laborer on set to support the film. That was a true friend. So, when filming the scene where the prisoners are drinking beer on the rooftop, he also had a bottle of cold beer. It was the first time Link had ever drunk beer in prison while wearing prison clothes. Chapter 235 is rather clingy. In its third week of release, Speed grossed $21.08 million, bringing its cumulative total to $71.06 million. Ranking second at the box office, The Lion King remains in first place, with a 2-week cumulative gross of $104 million, making it the fastest film to surpass $100 million in North America this year. In third place is The Wolf, starring Michelle Pfeiffer, which earned $37.51 million in its first 2 weeks. Other films released during the same period all grossed less than $5 million. Several films originally intended by the Big Seven studios to suppress Speed only grossed a few million this week, prematurely entering the loss-making category. Speed's success against all odds, with Link and Guess the Movie successfully withstanding the first wave of attacks from the Big Seven studios, has earned him considerable respect within the industry. Harvey Weinstein and Robert Shea have both called to praise him, try to build a relationship, and urge him to include them in any good projects he comes across. Hollywood media has also adjusted their publicity, previously predicting a summer box office failure due to the pressure from the Big Seven studios, and a setback for Guess the Movie's development. Media outlets are hesitant to make definitive statements about this, suggesting that Link and Guess Movie Studios have a slight advantage over the Big Seven studios in the summer blockbuster competition, but they anticipate a fierce counterattack from the Big Seven and a potential failure for Link and Guess Movie Studios. The success of the Speed project is good news, but Link has some worries lately. The first is the Titanic project. After Fox learned of his willingness to invest in this major project, they immediately reacted, trying to retain director Cameron, who was considering withdrawing from the project, expressing their willingness to invest and stating that everything was negotiable. Fox's sudden enthusiasm stems from Link's proven track record. Films he favors, except for The Unexpected Murder, have all been box office hits. The Titanic project has great potential. Even if the investment fails, they won't hand it over to Link, their competitor. Director Cameron called Link to apologize and expressed a desire for future collaboration. Link was a little disappointed, but not too bothered. This year, Universal Pictures partnered with superstar Kevin Costner to create the water-themed movie Waterworld, with a budget of nearly $200 million, and filming is currently underway. Carlock Pictures partnered with MGM to create the pirate film Cutthroat Island, with a production budget of nearly $100 million. Both films are water-themed, and both are expected to suffer huge losses upon release next year, prompting Fox to suspend investment in the Titanic project. Director Cameron will have to raise funds again, which will present an opportunity. His second worry was that after a deep conversation with Winona Ryder, she started frequently asking him out, even following him to the Shawshank Redemption set in Ohio. At first, Link patiently played along, but as the frequency increased, Winona seemed to become infatuated with him, growing increasingly clingy, and even proposing to be his girlfriend, marry him, and have a bunch of children during their intimate moments. Link was almost shocked. He made it clear to Winona that he had no plans to get married and wasn't considering having children right now. He said if she wanted to maintain the relationship, they could continue dating. If she had other ideas, they shouldn't see each other again. Winona Ryder reluctantly agreed. Seeing how obedient she was, Link didn't want to seem too much of a jerk, so he suggested she focus on her work for now. He promised to help her choose some suitable scripts later, as a talented actress like her deserved more classic roles. Winona nodded happily, her fair skin glowing in the sunlight. After calming the love-struck Winona down, Link continued working on the Shawshank Redemption set, striving for greater involvement. Link, are you so free? Why are you doing all this? On the Shawshank Redemption set, Tim Robbins, having finished filming, was looking for Link to chat. After a while, he saw Link moving props around the set. I finished editing and had nothing to do. I saw they needed help here, so I came to lend a hand. What's up? Link clapped his hands. Tim Robbins was speechless. A big-name director and a millionaire doing manual labor on a film set, what a waste of talent. I have something to ask you about the script. After taking on the role of Andy, I went to several prisons to do research, talk to many serious offenders, and read some related articles. A few days ago, I read a report that really moved me. It told the story of Sister Helen Presley. Tim Robbins began to tell the story of Sister Helen Presley, a leading figure in the current American anti-death penalty movement, wielding significant influence in both religious and political circles. The nun opposed the death penalty because of the chaotic American justice system. The wealthy could afford top lawyers and often escaped the death penalty, while the poor, unable to afford lawyers, were more likely to be sentenced to death. From this perspective, the existence of the death penalty was unfair. She hoped to abolish the death penalty and use the power of faith to redeem every fallen soul. In Tim Robbins' story, a nun receives a plea for help from a death row inmate. Initially, the nun hopes he's innocent, but after investigating, she discovers that the inmate and his accomplice murdered a young couple, causing immense suffering to the victim's family. The nun bravely approaches the parents, pleading for their forgiveness and repentance. The inmate, moved by the story, confesses his crimes, sincerely repents, and peacefully faces death. It's a story about humanity and divinity. Link listened to it once and felt it sounded familiar, like a movie called Dead Man Walking, starring Tim Robbins' girlfriend, Susan Sarandon, who won an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role. How is the story? You're a professional screenwriter, can you give me some feedback? Tim Robbins asked. The overall structure and main character design are fine, it has potential for adaptation. I need to see the script to know the details. Okay, I'm relieved to hear that. I'll write the script after filming and then consult you again. Tim Robbins smiled. Link agreed. While working on the set of The Shawshank Redemption, Lin K received a call from Joan Chen in China. After returning to China in April, Chen, with his support, established a film company in Beijing called Dongfeng Pictures, primarily involved in film investment, artist management, record production, and entertainment marketing. Currently, they are only investing in one film, the art film Red Rose White Rose, directed by Stanley Kwan. Chen plays the female lead, and the male lead is Winston Zhao, who rose to fame last year with The Wedding Banquet. The production cost is 3.5 million yuan. Chen called to tell him that after news of the company's establishment spread, many people, both established and new directors, came to him seeking investment, but she was undecided and asked you if he should invest. Lin told her that the company was newly established and could invest in 2 to 3 films annually. Investments under 5 million yuan would be decided by her and the company's production department, while projects over 5 million yuan would require the script to be sent over for review, and he would make the final decision. Upon hearing that she would decide on projects under 5 million yuan, Chen asked you if he wasn't worried about losing money. Link didn't care. It was a small project worth a few $100,000, even if it lost money, it wouldn't amount to much in a year. Being seen as a sucker would attract more people seeking cooperation, a form of reverse publicity, effective publicity nonetheless. Chen Chong smiled and agreed, saying she'd bring several projects to Los Angeles after filming Red Rose, White Rose, asking for his guidance and personal coaching. Link, recalling her large buttocks and mature charm at the dinner table, couldn't help but feel a surge of hate and muttered, "You slut, be serious." Chen Chong laughed heartily and asked what gift he wanted, offering to bring it from China. Link said no. Chen Chong jokingly asked, "Don't you want any pretty girls from China either?" Link was speechless. Before the personal coaching, Chen Chong had been very nervous and cautious when speaking to him, afraid of offending him. After a few coaching sessions, Chen Chong became more casual, often teasing him and making him unable to concentrate on his work. Link, didn't you say you were going to move props? Why are you slacking off here? Chris Bauer, wearing a vest and shirtless, came over. Get lost. I'm here to experience life. Do you really think I'm a laborer? Link threw down his gloves and went back to the director's area to edit the footage. This step was rough editing. The director would cut out large sections of useless shots immediately after filming, keeping only the main parts, much like outlining and trimming before paper cutting. The fine editing of each shot would be done after the film was finished, significantly reducing the workload. Link was a veteran filmmaker, very adept at this kind of work. Even director Frank Darabont praised him after seeing his work, calling him an absolute genius and all-rounder in the film industry. Chapter 236 Between Husband and Wife. In its 4th week of release, Speed was joined by the summer blockbuster Forrest Gump. Produced and distributed by Paramount Pictures, the film had a production budget of $55 million and stars Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and Sally Field, among others. It tells the story of an ordinary man, Forrest Gump, and his extraordinary life journey against a backdrop of extraordinary times. In its opening week, the film grossed $24.45 million in 1,595 theaters, averaging $15,329 per theater per day, achieving extremely high box office results and receiving exceptionally positive reviews. The film was enthusiastically received by moviegoers. Some media outlets have already declared it the best live-action film of 1994, and many artists under CAA have praised Forrest Gump, saying they were deeply moved while watching the film and strongly recommending it. In its 2nd week, Paramount Pictures expanded the release, and Forrest Gump grossed $48.36 million in 2,514 theaters, bringing its total box office to $72.81 million, maintaining its position as the top-grossing film for 2 consecutive weeks. The box office success of Forrest Gump severely squeezed the box office of Speed, which only earned $17.44 million in its fourth week and $13.17 million in its fifth week. Its 5-week cumulative box office just surpassed $100 million, reaching $101 million, a week later than expected. Yes, it should have been like this a long time ago. At CAA headquarters, Tom Cruise looked at the newspaper figures and excitedly pumped his fist. Although Forrest Gump wasn't his film, seeing other movies crushing guess the movie's films at the box office and causing Link to earn less money made him happy too. If I had known Forrest Gump would be so popular, I should have released it earlier, so Speed wouldn't have made as much money. It's fine, this is perfect, Michael Ovitz laughed. Link's new movie 7 will be released next week. With the current word of mouth for Forrest Gump, its box office will continue to rise. A niche art film like 7 is destined to fail at the box office against a commercially successful film like Forrest Gump, Tom Cruise noted. It's said that 7's production cost was a whopping $30 million. To counter the pressure from the Big 7 studios, guess what? Each studio invested tens of millions of dollars in promotion, bringing the film's cost to over $40 million. According to the box office revenue sharing rules, the film needs to gross over $80 million in North America to break even. And all the movies released in the past few weeks have been commercial blockbusters. In the fiercely competitive summer season, it will be extremely difficult for an art film like 7 to reach $80 million at the box office. Tom Cruise couldn't wait to see Link's expression of failure. Tom, forget about Forrest Gump for now, I have something to ask you. Michael Ovitz took the newspaper from his hand. I received news that At All Costs has been greenlit, and Nicole is still the female lead. Has Nicole told you about this? Tom Cruise shook his head. I've been busy with work lately and haven't talked to Nicole much. Tom, you can't do that. You and Nicole are husband and wife. You should communicate more often, pay attention to her recent changes, or ask her assistant privately if she's been in contact with Link. Try to find evidence of them dating, Ovitz said. Tom Cruise frowned. I heard Link's currently filming a movie in Ohio, not in Los Angeles. I know. I'm just suggesting you keep a close eye on Nicole's whereabouts. Link's an extremely lecherous guy. He tries to sleep with any pretty woman he sees. Nicole's a very charming woman. It's impossible for him not to be tempted by her. Now that the At All Costs production team is established, Link might use work as an excuse to seduce Nicole. Tom, you're Nicole's husband. You have to take this seriously. We can't wait until it happens and then find out. That would be too easy on that bastard Link. Michael Ovitz clenched his fist, his expression one of shared indignation. Tom Cruise, thinking that his wife might already be cheating on him with the very man he hated most, Link, immediately turned cold. I understand. I'll keep a close eye on Nicole and make sure Link doesn't touch her. No, it's not about preventing Link from seeing Nicole, it's about monitoring them, finding solid evidence during their dates, and then using that to ruin Link's reputation, disgrace him, and get him out of Hollywood as soon as possible, Michael Ovitz instructed. Tom Cruise frowned, but finally nodded. I understand, Tom, you're the actor I have the most faith in. You have to remember, we men should prioritize our careers, earn more money, acquire more resources, and achieve higher status. Nothing else matters. If you don't have money or status, women will leave you, Ovitz said earnestly. Tom Cruise nodded. Michael Ovitz looked at Tom Cruise's absent-minded expression with a sense of helplessness. It wasn't that he wanted to persuade Tom Cruise to sacrifice his wife Nicole, but he had no other choice. After losing the bet last year, he was very unhappy and wanted to take revenge on Link. He hired detectives and paparazzi to follow Link and find dirt on him. There's not much of value in Link. After becoming famous, aside from his love of socializing with women, Link has virtually no other bad habits. He doesn't smoke, drink excessively, do drugs, frequent nightclubs and bars, drive under the influence, engage in racism, and frequently does charity work. He's quite law-abiding. While Link is somewhat promiscuous in his relationships, he doesn't interfere in other people's marriages or force women to do things they don't want to do. He treats the women around him very well, giving them cars, houses, luxury goods, and scripts. When he's not busy with work, he makes time for them, trying to be fair to all. These women seem to be captivated by him. After dating him, even those with previous boyfriends quickly break up with them and become devoted to him. Ovitz once sent people to recruit the women around Link, trying to get them to come forward and accuse him of sexual harassment and violence. CAA was willing to provide them with a lot of resources, or even just cash. The amount was up to them. However, none of the women agreed to cooperate. Instead, they leaked the information to Link. After learning this, Link became even more cautious in these matters, paying close attention to secrecy during dates. He was willing to pay a hefty price to buy back any private photos taken by paparazzi, nipping any potential problems in the bud. Michael Ovitz was both disheartened and furious upon learning this. He couldn't understand why those beautiful, foolish women would give up readily available money and roles to follow such a promiscuous man. He also couldn't understand what was so attractive about Link that made women so loyal to him. At the same time, he was envious and jealous of Link. Both were men, both billionaires, yet Link, despite his promiscuity, had won the hearts of so many beautiful women, while he only had one wife and two mistresses, often exhausted by their affairs and unable to attend to both, leading to one mistress's infidelity. This jealousy transformed into his loathing of Link, prompting him to want to destroy him quickly so he would no longer be jealous of any other man. However, Link, this bastard, was rich and powerful, with no obvious blemishes. Destroying him wouldn't be easy. He could only be patient, creating opportunities to deal with Link, gradually pushing him to the brink of despair. Tom Cruise's beautiful wife was one of his methods. He believed Link would definitely be interested in the sexy Nicole Kidman. However, he wasn't sure if Link would break the rules and interfere in Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's marriage for Nicole. Therefore, he had to ask Tom Cruise for help. After receiving Ovitz's tip, Tom Cruise hurriedly left the Death Star Tower and returned to his Beverly Hills villa. On his way home, images of adult films kept flashing through his mind, showing Link and Nicole Kidman secretly meeting in the villa while he was away, engaging in shameless acts on the bedroom bed. Tom Cruise grew increasingly angry. Back at the villa, he rushed upstairs to the master bedroom with his camera to check. No one was there, and the bathroom was empty too. The guest rooms and bathrooms downstairs were also empty. Standing at the bedroom door, Tom Cruise felt a sense of relief mixed with disappointment. "Tom, what are you doing?" Nicole Kidman returned from outside, wearing a white Prada summer dress, carrying a handbag. Her long blonde hair cascaded down her back, and her figure, accentuated by the cinched waist, was incredibly alluring. Behind her, her assistant carried several shopping bags. "Where have you been?" Tom Cruise asked, his face grim. "Shopping, what's up?" "Shopping with whom? Why do you ask?" "Do I have to tell you who I'm shopping with?" Nicole Kidman frowned, turning to go upstairs. "Tell me." Tom Cruise grabbed her wrist, preventing her from leaving. "Ouch, you're hurting me." "Okay, it was Naomi and Cindy." "Are you satisfied now?" Nicole Kidman forcefully shook off his hand and stomped upstairs in her high heels. Tom Cruise picked up his phone and called Cindy Crawford, asking if she and Nicole had gone shopping. Cindy Crawford said yes, and asked him what was wrong. Hearing Cindy Crawford's reply, Tom Cruise felt relieved. Cindy Crawford was Richard Gere's wife, and Link bore a large part of the responsibility for Richard Gere's car accident. Cindy Crawford also disliked Link, so her words were highly credible. Tom Cruise inquired about Richard Gere's health. Cindy Crawford said it was bad, there was no possibility of recovery, and he was only being kept alive by medication. Tom Cruise offered a few words of comfort, saying he would visit Richard Gere in the hospital when he had time. Upstairs, behind a pillar, Nicole Kidman heard Tom Cruise on the phone. Her expression grew even colder. She called her assistant to come and move her things, saying she wanted to move to an apartment outside. Tom Cruise refused, saying that if she dared to leave, he would make her lose everything, including her resources, the title of Mrs. Cruise, and all her luxury goods. Nicole Kidman couldn't let go of those things. She was an Australian actress who had been in Hollywood for over 4 years, making 5 films. Because she was considered a pretty face, she currently only received the pay of a third-tier actress, gaining significant attention solely through her status as Tom Cruise's wife. Once she left Tom Cruise, she would fall back to the bottom, living in a cramped apartment, eating junk food, unable to afford high-end cosmetics, and unable to land good film roles. All her efforts over the past few years would be wasted. Thinking about this, Nicole Kidman's steps became heavy. Just as she was about to step out the door, she bit her lip and stopped, her blue eyes flashing with anger and hatred. Tom Cruise watched her sexy back, smiled confidently, and suddenly understood Ovitz's words. Men should prioritize their careers. With capital and power, women are nothing. I heard At All Costs has been greenlit. Yes, Nicole Kidman replied coldly. You should tell me. I'm your husband, and I have the right to know this. Okay, I'll tell you next time. Very good. Tom Cruise poured 2 glasses of wine, handing one to Nicole. Have you met Link? What does he think of you playing the lead role, Link? Nicole Kidman furrowed her delicate eyebrows, thinking of the handsome man and his gentle support. I haven't met Link. Liz is in charge of this project, and she decided on my role. I don't know what Link thinks of me, is that so? Link is currently filming in Ohio and isn't at the company. He might talk to you about the script when he gets back. I hope you. Tom Cruise clenched his fist, then suddenly looked up and stared into Nicole Kidman's blue eyes. I hope you remember your place. You are my wife, Mrs. Tom Cruise. I don't want you to have any contact with a playboy like Link, not even alone. Do you understand? Nicole Kidman furrowed her delicate eyebrows. Link didn't say he wanted to see me. I said if. I understand. Is there anything else? That's all for now. If Link wants to see you when he gets back, you must let me know. Tell me what you talked about and what you did. We're husband and wife, and I don't want you to hide anything from me about this, okay? As you wish. Nicole Kidman turned and left the living room, asking her assistant to put her things in the guest room. She didn't want to stay in the master bedroom anymore. Tom Cruise didn't try to stop her. Lately, he'd been busy preparing for Mission Impossible, exercising every day, and occasionally visiting Shirley Lansing. He didn't have any other energy to waste at home. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Godfather. Hush. Link, want to try some of that delicious chocolate sauce? No, thank you. You eat more. Link looked at the pile of chocolate sauce that looked like poop, refused Chris Bauer's offer, and continued editing. This was in Mansfield, Ohio, on the set of The Shawshank Redemption. After more than 2 months of filming, the movie was nearing its end. Today they were filming the scene where Andy Dufresne, the male lead, escaped from prison. Andy had been digging a tunnel in Shawshank prison with a pickaxe for over 20 years, finally deciding to escape during a thunderstorm. In prison, Andy changed his clothes, packed his suit, bankbook, and other belongings, tied them to his calves, and began his escape. Stop, Andy, you need to get more excited. You've used your clever mind to fool the warden and are preparing for a new life. Now you face 2 outcomes, death or freedom. You should be more excited at this moment, Director Frank Darabont reminded him. Okay, I will. Tim Robbins nodded and resumed acting. Upon reaching the underground sewage pipe area, he picked up a large rock and, as thunder rumbled on set, slammed it down on the pipe with a resounding thud. After 3 blows, a hole was created in the concrete pipe, and murky excrement poured out. Andy entered the pipe and slowly crawled out through the sewage, nearly fainting from the stench. In reality, the sewage and excrement were chocolate sauce. Half a ton of chocolate sauce was used for this scene. During filming, the air on set was filled with the aroma of chocolate sauce. After Andy Dufresne crawled out of the pipe, he fell into a pond. A torrential downpour began, and Andy stood in the rain, tearing off his prison uniform and raising his arms to the sky. During the filming of this scene, the directing team discussed whether Andy should shout a few times after escaping to release his emotions and move the audience. After discussion, they decided against shouting, as this would seem unprofessional and make Andy Dufresne appear too frivolous and lacking in composure. But to move the audience, Tim Robbins had to exert himself fully in his performance, conveying the emotional tension. This scene was crucial, a highlight of the entire film. Robbins performed it 6 times before director Darabont finally approved it. Cut. After filming this scene, the main scenes for The Shawshank Redemption were completed, leaving only a few scattered shots. After finishing his work, Link returned to Los Angeles to begin the pre-release promotional work for Seven. This year's summer movie season in North America was exceptionally competitive. From the box office success of The Flintstones and Maverick in May, to the blockbusters of Speed and The Lion King in June, and the explosive popularity of Forrest Gump in July. Following Forrest Gump, there's Link's new film Seven, The Western action film White Earp starring Kevin Costner, the action blockbuster True Lies co-starring James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the suspense thriller The Client directed by Joel Schumacher and starring Susan Sarandon and Tommy Lee Jones. All of them follow the formula of famous directors, famous actors, and high budgets. Currently, Forrest Gump has received extremely high praise and its box office figures remain strong. Under these circumstances, it's difficult for other films to achieve good box office results, especially Seven. This film is sandwiched between Forrest Gump, White Earp, and True Lies. A film of slightly lower quality will be caught in the middle. On July 15th, amidst an extremely unfavorable public opinion environment, Seven opened in 2,441 theaters in North America, grossing $26.96 million in its opening weekend. This is a decent result, but it failed to take the top spot at the box office. This week's box office champion remains Forrest Gump, earning $31.28 million in its third week and a cumulative total of $109 million, becoming the fourth film to surpass $100 million at the North American box office. This year Seven failed to take the top spot in its opening week, drawing ridicule from many media outlets. After Barrett, Link's films consistently topped the box office in their opening week. Seven, with a production cost of $30 million, more than the combined costs of his previous films, is the only one that failed to reach number one. What does this signify? It signifies a failure for Link. Media outlets published articles mocking him, claiming that Link's career is declining, his films are being abandoned by audiences, and it will be difficult for him to replicate his past successes. Michael Ovitz and others seized the opportunity to kick him while he was down, using their media resources to actively suppress Seven, calling it a bad film, plagiarizing French cinema, and claiming that its Palme d'Or win was largely undeserved and bought by Link. Renowned film critic Sean Thorpe claimed that after making many bad films, Link wanted to change his image with Seven, but he was too hasty and failed to make a good film, resulting in a hodgepodge. Thorpe mocked Link for not knowing how to make serious films and told him to practice for a few more years before considering art films. These comments, ignoring facts and full of nonsense, angered many filmmakers who liked Seven. Quentin Tarantino, in an interview outside the theater, said that Seven was no worse than Hitchcock's Psycho or Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, a near-perfect thriller. Tarantino also stated that Seven might be the peak of Link's career, as the film was so good that Link could not possibly make a better one. Director Martin Scorsese, after watching the film, also spoke out in the media, saying that Seven deservedly won the Palme d'Or. In an interview, Oscar-winning actress Jodie Foster stated that regardless of the number of classic crime thrillers in film history, Seven will be an unavoidable topic when discussing this genre from now on. The film also proves Link's limitless potential in filmmaking, and she looks forward to collaborating with him. Renowned film critic Rudin Batchelor, in a review published in The Hollywood Reporter, called the film his most surprising work of the year. The first surprise was Link's departure from his past low-budget gimmick films, creating a high-level thriller through ingenious script design, lavish set design, and meticulous cinematography. Link's transformation was delightful. The second surprise was Link's continued high level of creativity in his new film. He broke the framework of traditional Hollywood genre films, cleverly crafting a seemingly simple crime thriller that is profound, not only shocking audiences but also prompting societal reflection, making it highly significant. Link's continued commitment to innovation and breakthroughs in his new film is equally surprising. And so on. Despite numerous filmmakers publicly supporting Seven, Michael Ovitz, in conjunction with the 7 major studios, mobilized hundreds of media outlets to suppress the film's reputation, creating a massive campaign. In its second week, Seven grossed $24.07 million, placing second at the box office. Kevin Costner's Western action film White Earp flopped, opening with only $7.54 million. Forrest Gump remained in first place, grossing $28.37 million, firmly holding off Seven for 2 consecutive weeks. Hey Link, are you even doing this? We've all been promoting it, and Seven still hasn't reached number 1. What happened? Why did you suddenly fail? Quentin called to tease after the box office results were released. Seven has made over $50 million in 2 weeks, breaking even. How can this be bad? Link replied, leaning back on the sofa on the phone. Godfather. Liu Kaiankian pointed to the homework on the table, puffing out her cheeks, asking him to keep his voice down and not disturb her train of thought while doing math problems. Link shook his head, The little brat was so annoying. He could only take the phone and walk next door to continue the call. For other directors, breaking even on a film is considered good, but you're different. You're Link, the holder of one of the top 3 highest box office return ratios in film history, the most profitable young director. Every film you release receives strong support from fans and becomes a box office hit. Now you've finally made a high-budget blockbuster, and the box office return ratio should be at least 10 times, if not 100 times, right? But judging from the current box office data, it'll be at most 3 times, and breaking $100 million in North America is unlikely. Link, your film is pretty good, but the box office results are disappointing. Aren't you good at promoting your films? Why aren't you doing it anymore? Haha, why don't you try promoting it again and see how much you can get? Link was speechless. This guy was too long-winded. If he were any shorter-lived, he probably would have hung up before he finished speaking. No need. Like Pulp Fiction, Seven is an art house film. Its weekly box office revenue isn't high, but its long run means smaller drops. After 10 weeks or so, the box office will gradually build up. Then you can see for yourself. Seven's box office performance definitely won't be too bad. Link said Seven received a 2.6x bonus during its internal screenings. After more than a month of promotion in the Palme d'Or, the bonus reached 2.8x, making it easy to gross over $200 million in North America. Therefore, he was quite satisfied with Seven's current box office growth. Quentin, however, didn't believe him, thinking he was just trying to comfort himself. He jokingly advised him to take it easy, saying that a box office failure isn't terrible, he could always win it back next time, and not to let it get him down. No, thank you for your concern, Link said, not wanting to waste time with this nagging guy, and hung up after telling him to get some rest. Godfather, how do you do this problem? Liu Kaiankian came running over with her workbook. Link shuddered at the sight of the child's homework. Ask your mom, she and Monica are doing yoga, and she told me to ask you. The little one blinked her big eyes at him. Link sighed. Being a godfather and having to know math? That was way too difficult. Seeing how much the little one loved learning, he could only rub his head and explain the math problems to her. Chapter 238 Surrender, Link. Seven earned $17.32 million in its third week of release, bringing its total to $68.34 million. It dropped to 4th place in the weekly box office rankings. The top spot went to Fox's action blockbuster True Lies, with $25.86 million in its opening week. Second was Forrest Gump, with $24.12 million and a total of $143 million. Third was Warner Brothers' thriller The Client, with $17.84 million in its opening week. Following the release of the weekly box office results, media outlets such as the Los Angeles Times, New York Post, and American Express stated that after The Uncanny Murderer, another film produced by Guessing Pictures suffered a box office setback, indicating that Link's judgment of the film market was declining. Some media analysts also suggested that after earning hundreds of millions in its first round of financing, Link became complacent and stopped focusing on film production, making the company's declining performance inevitable. Media outlets from 7 major media groups collectively issued pessimistic reports about Guessing Pictures. Wall Street investment firms are also preparing to lower their investment assessments of Guessing Pictures. To address this, Guess the Movies held several internal meetings to discuss how to improve box office performance. Boss, Seven is a good movie, no doubt about it, but the current box office performance isn't ideal. I think the main reason is the inadequate promotion. Its influence isn't as strong as Paranormal Activity or the Blair Witch Project. To address this, I propose increasing the promotional efforts to get more viewers aware of the film, said Joe Ferrer, head of distribution, at the meeting. Link remained silent, looking at the other executives. John Gordon said, the situation is different now. We're facing pressure from the 7 major media groups on promotional channels, increasing promotional costs. Recently, we've spent $15 million on promotion. If we continue to increase spending, the risk of losses will also increase, which isn't worthwhile. Without expanding the promotional scale, audiences won't know about the film and won't go to the theaters to support it. Seven's box office performance won't improve. We won't earn the box office revenue we should have, which is a significant loss for the company, Joe Ferrer said. The summer movie season is fiercely competitive primarily because there are too many blockbusters and too much publicity for them. Information about new movie releases appears daily on television and in newspapers. For Seven to stand out among the numerous new films and pique audience interest in its plot, effective promotion is crucial. However, Guest C Pictures currently faces a dilemma. Seven is besieged in distribution by films from the 7 major film studios, squeezed out in promotion by other films, and even exploited by the 7 major media groups. To expand its promotion, it must continue to escalate, essentially giving money away to the 7 media groups. Ultimately, regardless of how much Guest C Pictures earns, the 7 media groups will be the biggest winners. Ahem, executive producer Daniel DeViro adjusted his glasses. Seven has grossed over $68 million in its first 3 weeks. It shouldn't be difficult for it to break $100 million in North America by the end of its run. That's a very good result. However, continuing to increase costs and directly compete with the big 7 studios is too risky and the returns are too small. I don't agree, Content Operations Officer James Shamus suggested. There are many big films in the summer season right now, making the competition fierce. Increasing promotional efforts will lead to higher costs. However, summer releases are mainly commercial films, which tend to have high initial box office but weaker growth later. Seven has good quality and reviews, and its current box office drop isn't significant. We could consider appropriately increasing promotional investment after the summer season, depending on the market and box office performance. I agree with James's opinion, said Deputy Executive Producer Ted Hooper. CEO Michael Leeson and PR head Liuza Adley also agreed to avoid direct competition and reassess the situation after the summer season. That's settled then. Continue with the original release plan. Whether to increase promotional efforts later will depend on the box office performance, Link said, adjourning the meeting. John Gordon followed up, saying that the reason Seven's publicity wasn't as good as films like Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project was mainly because it didn't create any controversial topics for hype. Gordon suggested finding suitable criminal cases in various locations, bribing the police and the killers, linking the cases to Seven, and creating another Moleta murder case. Link rejected this suggestion. Aside from the fact that such a scheme had too many loopholes and could be easily seized upon by opponents, even if successful, 1 or 2 small cases wouldn't significantly help the film's box office and would only have some negative impact. The disadvantages outweighed the advantages. Link told Gordon not to rush things. Seven was currently doing well at the box office, and the company was doing well too, not as badly as the newspapers described. He was in charge of publicity and shouldn't let external propaganda influence his judgment of the situation. Haha, Link, I heard your new movie's box office isn't doing so well. Want some help? Back in his office, Michael Ovitz called, his voice brimming with the smugness of a victor. Oh, how are you going to help me? Link asked, leaning back in his office chair. Haha, it's simple. You sell 50% of your Guessing Pictures shares for $300 million, and I can help you contact the big 7 studios and lobby them to stop targeting Guessing Pictures. How does that sound? $300 million. This guy's got a good plan, Link sneered. Guessing Pictures is releasing 2 movies this summer. Speed has grossed over $120 million in North America, and Seven won't have a problem breaking $100 million. 2 movies in a row breaking $100 million in North America is something even the big 7 studios can't achieve. $300 million is too low for Guessing Pictures at this stage. How much do you want? Hearing him soften his stance, Michael Ovitz laughed, thinking to himself that you have to use a heavy hammer to deal with a tough nut. Look, Link's about to give in. My offer isn't high, $1 billion. With 2 more movies grossing over $100 million, the market value will only increase by $500 million. Isn't that a reasonable offer? $1 billion? Haha, your film company, less than 3 years old, dares to offer $1 billion. Michael Ovitz's laughter gradually turned cold. Michael, a film company's value can't be measured by how long it was founded, but by its earning power. Guess.com's market value is less than $1 billion, but last year it ranked 6th in box office revenue and 1st in net income. This year, Guess.com's revenue is even more optimistic than last year. A $1 billion offer is very reasonable, no room for negotiation. $1 billion is a friendly price, HMPH. Very good, Link. I wish Guess.com's market value will soon break $1 billion. Thank you, definitely. Beep beep beep. Before he could finish speaking, the call ended. Link shook his head. This guy was too rude. hanging up without even saying goodbye. After rejecting Michael Ovitz, negative reviews of Seven increased in the media, and voices predicting the downfall of Guess.com grew louder. Many media outlets claim that the production and marketing costs of Seven exceeded $50 million, but the current box office was less than $70 million. They claimed that Guess Pictures was suffering severe losses, multiple film projects had been halted, and the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. The claims were so convincing that only an insider would believe them. Link, shouldn't we think of a way to hype Seven? Don't worry about people saying you broke your promise afterward. For a film company, box office revenue is the most important thing, Robert Shea called to inquire. Robert, don't worry, Seven has been in theaters for 3 weeks, and the North American box office has reached over $68 million. That's a very good result. Breaking $100 million in North America shouldn't be a problem. Your goal is just to break $100 million, Robert Shea was incredulous. Previously, Link had made films with tens of thousands of dollars, and the global box office was $300 to $400 million, $500 to $600 million. This Seven had a production cost of over $30 million, and in his prediction, the North American box office should be over $300 million. Now Link was telling him that the goal was only $100 million. This was hard for him to accept. Link didn't offer much comfort to Robert Shea, only telling him not to worry. Seven was playing well in theaters, with decent attendance, and the box office would gradually improve. Besides Robert Shea, Vanguard Capital and Morgan Stanley also called to inquire about the situation. Vanguard's investment officer, Greg Davis, jokingly said he was being complacent. Given the current situation, Guess Movies would be lucky to survive the pressure from the big Seven studios, let alone swallow them up. Link told them to leave it alone. Seven wasn't losing money, Guess Movies wasn't bankrupt, shareholders weren't suffering losses, and they shouldn't interfere in the company's affairs. Regardless of the outside world's pessimism about Guess Movies, Link remained unfazed. He had originally predicted that Seven, despite the pressure from the big Seven studios, would gradually surpass $500 to $600 million at the box office, ultimately surprising everyone. However, an event accelerated this process. Chapter 239, a shocking case. Ring ring. Ring ring. Around 2 a.m., the cell phone on the counter suddenly rang. Link opened his eyes, got up, and hung up to avoid waking Monica and Liu Xiaoli, who were still sleeping. He glanced at the phone number and went to the small living room in his pajamas. John, what's up? The caller was John Gordon, head of the publicity department. Boss, something's happened. I think it's a good thing we can use. What is it? Just received news that a murder was discovered in the Brentwood Villa area half an hour ago. There were 2 victims, a man and a woman. The female victim was Nicole Brown, the ex-wife of Oriental James Simpson, and the male victim was said to be her friend. The crime scene was right in front of Simpson's villa. Simpson, when talking about top black basketball stars, many people think of Jordan, Tyson, and Johnson, but in the 80s and 90s, during the heyday of American football, Simpson was the biggest star in North American sports, a superstar comparable to Yao Ming's fame and status in China. The involvement of someone like this in a murder case is bound to be bad news. John, how do you plan to use this? The police suspect the 2 were having an affair at the villa and were attacked by the killer. I plan to bribe the police to write lust at the scene. This involves the big star O.J. Simpson, so the attention it will receive afterward is bound to be huge. We can use this case to promote Seven, and the effect might be quite good. Link nodded. He knew better than anyone how influential the O.J. Simpson murder case was. If they could use this case, Seven could indeed gain a lot of buzz in a short time. But doing so was also quite risky. If the police found out, the court could prosecute them for perjury and disrupting the judicial order, a charge that could result in a fine of tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars? Link stroked his chin. This seemed like a workable plan. The O.J. Simpson murder case was one of the most sensational news events in the United States in the 1990s, and also the biggest case of innocence in American history. The trial and investigation of this case would also attract nationwide attention, with a level of public interest comparable to major events in American history. If Seven capitalizes on the hype surrounding this case, it'll probably be known to everyone in less than a week. The only concern is that once this is exposed, it'll easily draw media criticism, with people accusing him of using any means necessary to promote the film and making easy money. I can give it a try. After hanging up, Link went back to his bedroom to continue sleeping. But before he could close his eyes, the phone rang again. Link had to release the soft, warm embrace he was holding and get up to answer. John Gordon, in an excited tone, told him that there was no need to bribe the police to do this. During the search of the scene, the police found the bloody word "greed" on the wall. Really, this is too much of a coincidence. Link has reason to suspect that John Gordon did it. This guy, to promote the film, acted first and asked for his opinion later, having someone write the word on the scene before calling to ask for his opinion. The source is very reliable. At first, the yard was too dark for the police to notice. But later someone turned on their car lights and found a line of letters on the wall that read "greed." The police have already photographed the blood-written words and are preparing to use them as evidence to investigate the killer's motive. Is that so? If true, this would be top-notch publicity material. Riding on the Simpson murder case's popularity, Seven would become known worldwide. If handled properly, it could save a huge amount of publicity money. Link and John Gordon discussed the publicity for a few minutes, finalizing the matter before he went back to bed. "Who called?" Monica was woken up and asked, nestled against his chest. John Gordon, "Something unexpected happened, but it might be a good thing." Link put his arm around her shoulder, returning to their peaceful embrace. The next day, news about the case was everywhere in the media. From television to newspapers to radio, every outlet was scrambling to report the story. The Los Angeles Times was the first to report the details of the case. The incident occurred around 10 p.m. in a wealthy area of West Los Angeles, the villa of football star O.J. Simpson. Around 11 p.m., a neighbor's dog barked wildly at the Simpson villa. Upon investigation, the neighbor discovered two bodies lying on the porch, with blood flowing from the porch onto the street. The female victim was Nicole Brown Simpson, the ex-wife of football star O.J. Simpson, and the male victim was her friend, Ron Goldman. Both had suffered dozens of stab wounds, their deaths gruesome. The neighbor immediately called the police. Around 1 a.m., 4 Los Angeles police officers arrived at the scene and found bloodstains on O.J. Simpson's white Ford Mustang outside the door, as well as in the driveway. Unable to get a response to the doorbell, the detectives scaled the wall. Officer Foreman found a bloodstained glove in the backyard, and Officer Costa found the word "greed" on the wall at the crime scene. Furthermore, a car rental driver confirmed that around 10 p.m. that night, he drove to the villa next to the crime scene to pick up Simpson. He rang the doorbell but received no answer. Around 11 p.m., he saw a tall, large black man run back into the house from next door and ring the doorbell again. Simpson answered, claiming he was asleep and hadn't heard it. He then got into the car and went to the airport to fly to Chicago. Based on various clues, the police focused their investigation on Simpson, the black football star. The incident was reported by major North American media outlets on the day of the crime, causing a huge sensation and heated discussion across the United States. There are 3 main points of interest in this case. First, the suspect, Simpson, is one of the most famous black sports stars in the United States. Simpson won the NFL MVP award 3 times in a row, was selected to the NFL All-Star Team 5 times, and was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame in 1985. He is more famous than Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson, belonging to the sports world superstar level. A superstar involved in a murder case is undoubtedly a very hot topic. The second point of interest is the gossip surrounding the case. The deceased was Simpson's ex-wife. The two divorced in 1992 and continued to live in the same estate afterward. Before their deaths, they were seen watching a children's performance at a school. The other male victim was Ron Goldman, a waiter at the restaurant and a friend of Nicole Brown. It's said that Brown left her glasses at the restaurant that day, and Goldman returned them to the mansion, after which both met their demise. Many suspect that Simpson caught them having an affair, and in a fit of rage, killed them both. The third point of interest is the blood-written word "greed" found at the scene. The recent film Seven has been a box office hit in North America, grossing $51.03 million over 2 consecutive weeks, and many have seen it. The killer's method in the film is strikingly similar to the murders at Simpson's mansion. After committing the murders, the killer would write the 7 sins from Paradise Lost at the scene: gluttony, greed, sloth, envy, pride, lust, and wrath. The presence of the word "greed" at the crime scene strongly suggests that the killer was imitating John Doe's methods after reading Seven, or perhaps paying homage to it. At the end of Seven, John Doe tells Detective Mills and William Sr. in his car, "I have set an example, My actions will surely cause people to think, study, and imitate, forever. The killer in this case may have been imitating John Doe's methods. Many people don't understand why greed is used instead of lust. If Nicole Brown and Langerman were caught having an affair in the villa and the killer, unable to bear it, used the 7 deadly sins to kill them, then lust would be more reasonable. However, some explain that after Nicole Brown and Simpson divorced, she received tens of millions of dollars and a mansion, and continued to demand alimony from Simpson after the divorce. From this perspective, using greed to punish Nicole is also reasonable. Now, it's just a matter of figuring out whether Simpson has read 7 and whether the bloodstains on the wall are his handwriting. If so, Simpson is 100% the murderer. Even before the court hearing, netizens were already speculating online. Chapter 240 Female International Students. That's right, that must be it. I can't believe Simpson would do something like that. Men are sometimes more prone to jealousy than women. Simpson saw his ex-wife on a date with another man at the villa and impulsively stabbed them both. Haha. According to that logic, Simpson also committed the same sin of jealousy as John Doe in 7. In a USC classroom, a dozen film students sat around a table in the front row, excitedly discussing the latest big case in 7. Wait? What are you talking about? What 7 deadly sins? What John Doe? What does this have to do with Simpson? Several people nearby were completely confused. Joseph, haven't you seen Link's new movie 7? A boy wearing a Bulls jersey asked. Hearing someone mention Link, Yu Fihong, sitting in the corner, looked up, blinked, and continued reading the article in the magazine. Link's new movie? No, I've seen his Paranormal Activity and Final Destination, and I felt they were just average. I'm not very interested in his new movie, said Joseph, who wore large framed glasses. You really should check this out. 7 is incredibly high quality. The colors, composition, and lighting are all masterful. After watching 7, you'll be amazed. Masterful? Isn't that an exaggeration? Aside from Final Destination, which was somewhat decent, any of Link's films could be made by anyone. I admit his screenwriting is excellent, but his directing is at best second-rate, said Joseph, the bespectacled man. No exaggeration at all. 7 is unlike any of his previous films. It's not shoddy at all, the production is exquisite, and the visual quality is extremely high. If you like Martin Scorsese's films, you'll definitely like this one. By the way, Scorsese publicly praised 7, saying it deservedly won the Palme d'Or. Really? I'll go see it this weekend, Joseph said, his curiosity about 7 growing after hearing everyone's comments. Wait? We were just talking about the Simpson case. How did we get to Link's new movie? You haven't said what the Simpson case has to do with Link's new movie yet, a chubby boy shouted. Did you see the Simpson case report? The killer wrote greed in blood on the wall, which is one of the sins in 7. In Link's new movie, the killer always, before the boy in the jersey could finish, someone next to him covered his mouth. Don't spoil it. Let's watch the movie first. Okay, go watch it. If you don't see 7, you won't know how interesting the Simpson case is. While they were discussing, Professor Cecil, the photography professor, walked into the classroom with his equipment to start class, and the students returned to their seats. Yu Fihong also put away her magazine and took out her notebook from her bag to take notes. Has anyone seen the newly released 7? Professor Cecil asked the students in the lecture hall before class. Yes, no, out of more than 80 people in the classroom, only a dozen or so answered that they had seen it. I recommend you all watch it. It's a very interesting film. Its narrative structure, cinematic language, use of color, and the story's underlying themes are all worth studying. Once you fully understand this film and know why the director chose this method instead of others, you'll gain more than you would from 5 lectures in school, Professor Cecil said. Professor, are you promoting 7? A student shouted. Ha ha ha. Many people burst into laughter. Professor Cecil smiled. Yes, Link isn't older than any of you. I heard he became a director through self-study. After watching a few of his films, I found his theoretical foundation in film directing to be incredibly solid, unlike that of a self-taught director. But it's a fact that he didn't study at a professional school. So where did he get such a deep foundation? There's only one explanation. This guy is a very studious person, often studying professional books on his own. When you watch his films, you can analyze them side by side and see how much he learned through self-study, and see how much you learned. By comparison, you'll gain more. Link is really amazing, not just amazing, incredibly amazing. Becoming a top-tier director at 22, his growth rate is even faster than Spielberg and others. Hearing the professor's words, the students discussed animatedly. Yu Fihong blinked, thinking of Link, whom she had met a few times before. Her feelings were complicated. When she had dined with Link before, she only felt that Link was a very capable man, but she didn't have a clear understanding of just how capable he was. After living in the United States for a few months, she realized just how capable Link really was. Link is a best-selling author, a world-class director, the owner of Guess What Film Studios, and a billionaire worth over $1 billion. Any one of these labels would make him a remarkable figure in the United States, and Link possesses multiple titles. Furthermore, after studying at the USC School of Cinematic Arts for a period, her understanding of film deepened, and she increasingly realized how difficult it is to make a mature film and get it released in American theaters. Thousands of films are produced in the US each year, including experimental films made by film school students. Only about 200 of these films actually make it to theaters, and of those, less than 2/3 are profitable. Link's films not only get theatrical releases but also become box office hits. Paranormal Activity even became the highest-grossing film of the year in North America, making him the youngest and only Chinese American to achieve this. Yu Fihong felt he was a godlike figure. Even film schools might struggle to persuade such a prominent figure to give a lecture, yet she had dined with him, chatted with him briefly, and even received a letter of recommendation from him. She had secretly wondered if Link might have feelings for her. Thinking about it now, she blushed a little. Link is Chinese, and you're Chinese too. Do you know him, Susie, a classmate, asked. No, Yu Fihong replied, not wanting to admit it, lest she become the center of attention. That's a pity, otherwise we could invite Link to visit our school, a classmate said. Have you seen Seven? We're planning to see it at the school cinema this afternoon. Do you want to come? Susie asked. Sure, Yu Fihong had seen Seven when it was released, mainly to support Link. However, her professor had just said the film was very profound, and she was to analyze it from a professional perspective as a course assignment, so she decided to give it a try. Director Link's movie is fantastic, especially that last line. Hemingway said, "The world is a beautiful place, worth fighting for." I agree with the second half, it's so cool. In Los Angeles, Casey Affleck walked out of the cinema, excitedly saying, "It's a really good film." The themes include religion, mental illness, suspense, social phenomena, metaphors of human nature, personal growth, family and love, etc. It's a top-tier art film. Link is getting better and better, Joaquin Phoenix said, looking at the Seven posters plastered on the street. The script for Seven is also ingeniously designed. Do you remember the first scene? That scene seems a bit superfluous, but it's actually not at all. That scene is where old William is investigating at the scene, and a woman, in a fit of rage, shoots and kills her husband. This echoes the ending of the film where Detective Mills kills John Doe in a fit of rage. And Morgan Freeman asking another detective if he saw the child? This echoes John Doe killing Trish and the child in her womb, implying the child's innocence. The film forms a circular structure from beginning to end, a circular narrative, similar to Pulp Fiction, just with its own unique characteristics. Link is amazing, both in filmmaking and screenwriting. I should learn from him, Matt Damon exclaimed. So there are so many tricks to it? I watched it twice and still didn't get it. Looks like I'll have to watch it again, Casey Affleck said, stroking his chin. Ahem, Ben Affleck walked ahead with his hands in his pockets. Did you guys forget to say something more important than praising Link? What? The others looked at him, puzzled. Ben Affleck's face darkened, and he pointed at the movie poster, shouting, "Look who that is." That's me, Ben Affleck, the male lead in this movie. Don't you want to say something to me after watching it? Matt Damon, Casey, and Joaquin exchanged glances. Link's ability to train actors is getting better and better. No matter what kind of actor they are, they can all perform excellently under his guidance. That's true, Joaquin nodded. I declare that Link is the director I most want to work with, Casey Affleck shouted in the street. Ben Affleck pulled down his hat brim, his face darkening. He glared at the three men through gritted teeth. I know you're jealous of me. Jealous that I got to star in a classic film, jealous that my acting is getting better and better, and jealous that I'm becoming more and more excellent. I know, so I don't blame you. Who's jealous of you? You had to really shine in Seven to get that good performance. You can imagine how much time Link spent guiding you during filming. If you had a different director next time, could you still pull off that level? Matt Damon laughed. That's true. No wonder Link wasn't too friendly with you when we went to his house last time. He was probably fed up with you during the filming of Seven, Casey Affleck teased. Shut up, Ben Affleck pointed fiercely at Matt Damon and Casey. Seeing Joaquin about to speak, he glared at him. What are you going to say? That dead dog at the end of the film also acted quite well, Joaquin said calmly. Shut up, Ben Affleck nearly exploded on the spot. These three guys would rather praise that dead dog than his acting skills. It was outrageous. Ben, don't listen to them. They're just joking. Actually, you acted quite well. Summer Phoenix covered her mouth and laughed. She was Joaquin Phoenix's sister and Casey Affleck's girlfriend. HMPH, Summer's better. Summer has the best eye. Ben Affleck glanced at the three of them unhappily. You can be jealous all you want. Anyway, I'm the male lead in Seven. And it can only ever be me. Matt Damon shook his head, looking at the endless stream of people at the movie theater entrance. Seven is probably going to be a huge hit. Not probably, definitely, Ben Affleck laughed triumphantly. Chapter 241 Movie Big Hit. Following the O.J. Simpson murder case, many Americans took notice of Link's film, Seven. Whether out of curiosity, doubt, or criticism, more and more viewers flocked to theaters to see it. Seven's attendance skyrocketed, with many major city theaters packed to capacity. According to theater data, the day after the Simpson case, Seven's attendance increased by 260%, surpassing films like Forrest Gump and True Lies in screenings, taking the top spot. Coupled with the film's high quality, many viewers actively recommended it to acquaintances, further increasing its popularity. In its fourth week of release, Seven grossed $25.35 million in 1,401 theaters across North America, ranking second at the box office, with a cumulative total of $93.69 million. Forrest Gump was in first place with $26.15 million this week, bringing its cumulative total to $169 million. True Lies was in third place with $24.37 million, bringing its cumulative total to $50.05 million. The Client was in fourth place with $21.85 million this week. Damn it, how could this be? Michael Ovitz's face darkened as he looked at the box office results for Seven. Seven defied a trend this week, quickly surpassing films like True Lies and The Client on the final day, climbing from 7th to 2nd place. According to Complete Film magazine, the Simpson case occurred on Thursday, and Seven saw a significant increase in box office revenue starting Friday, earning over $16 million in just 3 days. If the case had occurred on Monday, Seven would have had a very high chance of taking the top spot. However, based on the current box office trend, Complete Film predicts that Seven will perform even better next week, with a high probability of surpassing Forrest Gump to become its first box office champion. The Simpson murder case is already very attention-grabbing, and the similarities to the events in Seven make the case even more bizarre. With media coverage everywhere, the increased buzz surrounding Seven and its rising box office are only natural, Langmeyer said, looking at the Los Angeles Times. But don't you think the timing of this murder is too coincidental? It's like this big news breaking out when Seven's box office is plummeting, and it even involves the movie's plot. It's too much of a coincidence, like the murderer deliberately did this to help Link promote the movie. Michael Ovitz narrowed his eyes and said quietly, "Don't forget the Me Real to Murder case. You mean Link is using this case to promote Seven, just like he used the murder case to promote Paranormal Activity? That's fine. If a similar case happens when a film from one of the big Seven studios is released, they'll use it for publicity too," Langmeyer said. HMPH. When Paranormal Activity was released, it coincided with the Moretta murder case. When Seven was released, it coincided with the O.J. Simpson murder case. What a coincidence. I have reason to suspect that Link was behind both cases. He wanted to make money, so he arranged for that crazy woman, Predin, to kill her husband. He wasn't willing to lose Triss in the summer blockbuster season, so he hired a hitman or killed Nicola Brown and her husband himself, framing Simpson, and then attracting nationwide media attention. Now that Seven is a box office hit, his conspiracy has succeeded. Yes, that must be it. Link must be the murderer. Michael Ovitz slammed his fist on the table. Was this a deliberate murder for movie promotion? Langmeyer shook his head. Link shouldn't be that crazy. Although Seven's box office wasn't as high as Forrest Gump, it wouldn't lose money, it was a profitable project. Plus, The reviews were good. Many film professionals in the industry, after seeing Seven, looked at Link with new respect, no longer believing him to be a director who achieved fame through opportunism, and acknowledging his directing abilities. With good box office and critical reception, and a net worth of over $1 billion, Link had no reason to take such a risk. Maybe he received advance warning and then bribed officers to leave bloody graffiti at the crime scene. You know, the LAPD isn't exactly known for its ethical standards, Langmuir guessed. Michael Ovitz also considered this possibility. But the details of the case had already spread throughout the U.S. through the media, and the next step was the world. Riding on the heat of this case, Seven would become known to more people, and the box office would boom, perhaps even replicating the success of Paranormal Activity. Lincoln guessed the movies could use this film to turn their fortunes around and recover from the suppression by the Big Seven studios. This was terrible. Michael Ovitz didn't want this to happen. He wanted to completely destroy Link this summer, to make Link never recover. Therefore, the murderer had to be Link. Michael Ovitz thought for a moment, then picked up the phone and called Shirley Lansing to share his opinion. Publicizing Link as the murderer through the media, Shirley Lansing hesitated for a moment before saying, "It's inappropriate. I've looked into this case, and none of the clues the police have gathered point to Link. Publicizing him as the murderer in the media would not only be useless, but would also increase the case's popularity, indirectly promoting Seven. It's not worth it." Michael Ovitz frowned deeply, also considering this possibility. Originally, the police and the public suspected Simpson of being the murderer, but now suddenly many media outlets are reporting that Link is the real killer. A murder case involving two billionaires, two famous figures, one African American, and one Asian American. The case's popularity would likely reach an astonishing level. The same would be true for Seven. Link would probably also be hoping someone would do this. So this couldn't be done. The hype surrounding Seven has been soaring these past few days, and its box office performance is skyrocketing. If we don't suppress it in the media, Seven will surpass Forrest Gump next week. Once Seven surpasses several other blockbusters and takes the box office crown, Link will become even more arrogant and difficult to deal with, and all their efforts and spending over the past few weeks will be in vain. Simply put, he and the seven major studios have joined forces, yet they've been defeated by Link alone. Michael Ovitz would rather be blind than see that happen. Michael, don't worry, Clear and Simple will be released next week, and it's guaranteed to be the box office champion. A week later, the Simpson case hype will definitely die down, and the attention Seven receives will also drop. It won't be easy for Seven to take the box office crown, Shirley Lansing said. Clear and Simple is an action blockbuster produced by Paramount Pictures, starring Harry Fordson. Since 1992, Harry Fordson's action blockbusters Patriot Games and The Fugitive have all grossed over $100 million at the box office. Clear and Imminent received better reviews than the previous two films during its internal screenings, and its box office performance should be even better. It shouldn't have a problem beating Seven at the box office on its opening night next week. Michael Ovitz breathed a sigh of relief at this thought. However, judging from several media reports, Guess What Films is clearly using this case to hype up Seven. We should also take action and find a way to reduce the case's hype and prevent Link's scheme from succeeding. That makes sense. Contact the other companies, each contributing some resources to suppress the case's popularity. Shirley Lansing hung up the phone, closing her eyes and humming. I think Michael Ovitz is right. Link might be the real killer. Tom Cruise looked up, his eyes filled with resentment. Shirley Lansing shook her head, leaning back in her office chair and stroking his hair. Michael Ovitz was unhappy that Link was using the Simpson case to hype up Seven, and he, along with several film companies, was trying to suppress the case's popularity. The case's popularity exceeded his expectations. From the day of the incident, almost all American media outlets covered the story, including those from the seven major media groups. While they knew that publicizing the case would boost the popularity of Seven, Simpson's fame was immense. The victims were his ex-wife and her rumored boyfriend. Simpson was the prime suspect, and the Seven plotline appearing at the crime scene added to the drama. Audiences love this kind of news, increasing demand for such content. The media wouldn't miss this opportunity to make money. According to media reports, on the morning of the incident, Simpson returned to Los Angeles from Chicago, underwent an hour-long questioning by police, and was subsequently released. During the questioning, police discovered a 2-centimeter-long cut on Simpson's finger. Simpson explained that he accidentally broke a hotel window after hearing the news of his wife's death, cutting his finger. However, the hotel stated that no glass had been broken that day. This injury further increased Simpson's suspicion. After several days of investigation, police decided to list Simpson as the primary suspect. Simpson relayed a message indicating his intention to surrender, but failed to appear as promised. Police decided to arrest him. Throughout this process, mainstream American media, including ABC, CNN, CBS, and Fox, provided live coverage of the Los Angeles Police Department's arrest of Simpson. On the sixth day after the incident, Simpson, who was supposed to surrender, suddenly disappeared from his residence, his whereabouts unknown. The Los Angeles Police Department immediately dispatched 4 helicopters, 4 patrol convoys, and hundreds of police cars to search for the missing Simpson throughout Los Angeles. Because the entire arrest was broadcast live by multiple television stations, North American viewers witnessed a scene reminiscent of the game Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. Police helicopters circled overhead, and hundreds of police cars with flashing lights patrolled the streets. Several hours later, police spotted Simpson's white car on the highway. A chase ensued with over 60 police cars on the Los Angeles roads. The scene was more exciting and intense than any Hollywood action movie. 20 minutes later, more than 10 police cars surrounded Simpson's white car. Simpson, brandishing a handgun, threatened suicide and demanded the police move aside. Given Simpson's black background, immense fame, and large fan base in the United States, coupled with the 1992 Los Angeles riots, the black community was highly sensitive, and another unrest could easily erupt. The police exercised great restraint after apprehending Simpson, neither forcing him to commit suicide nor removing the bullets from his body. After more than an hour of negotiation, around 8 p.m., Simpson dropped the handgun, got out of the car, and was arrested. This dramatic police chase came to an end. According to data released by Nielsen, the live news broadcast peaked at 65 million viewers, averaging 32 million, higher than the NFL Finals and the NBA Finals. During this period, guess what pictures capitalized on the case's popularity to heavily promote Seven? They even bribed the police spokesperson to answer questions about the killer, leaving the blood-written word "greed" at the scene during interviews, closely linking Simpson and Seven. Influenced by the case, Seven's exposure increased again, by 800% compared to the previous week. More and more viewers flocked to theaters to see Seven. Theaters had to increase the number of screenings of Seven to accommodate the increasing audience. In its 5th week of release, Seven grossed $38.53 million in 2,394 theaters across North America, taking the top spot at the box office for the first time. Its cumulative North American box office reached $132 million. Second place went to Paramount Pictures' action blockbuster Clear and Bright, with a production cost of $62 million and a first-week gross of $30.34 million. This was a very good result. In other time periods, it would have had a great chance of taking the top spot, but it was forced to settle for second place due to Seven. Third place went to Forrest Gump, with $18.08 million in its opening week and a cumulative total of $187 million. Fourth place went to Universal Pictures' children's comedy Little Rascal, with $13.34 million in its opening week. True Lies dropped to 5th, A Client fell to 6th, The Lion King to 8th, and Speed to 9th. Seven overcame numerous obstacles and finally made a successful comeback in its 5th week, crushing all the summer blockbusters. Link, We Won. Seven is number 1 at the box office. Jennifer Connelly happily jumped into his arms, her delicate face upturned, her blue eyes brimming with laughter. Link smiled and held the girl tightly. Chapter 242. Link kills someone? In its 5th week of release, Seven, riding the wave of the O.J. Simpson murder case, forcefully overshadowed blockbusters like True Lies, Forrest Gump, The Lion King, The Client, and Wind Up, taking the top spot at the box office. This news caused astonishment and skepticism in Hollywood. The astonishment stemmed from the fact that Seven had faced suppression from the 7 major studios after its release, failing to reach the top spot for 3 consecutive weeks, with its box office figures steadily declining. Many initially thought Seven's box office performance was doomed, and it would become Link's worst-performing film. However, no one anticipated the sudden occurrence of the O.J. Simpson murder case, where the killer wrote greed, one of the 7 deadly sins, at the crime scene. People worldwide are eager for gossip, and North American audiences are no exception. But to truly understand the story, one must understand the meaning of greed and the 7 deadly sins. Watching the well-received Seven was clearly more cost-effective than watching the obscure Paradise Lost. This led to Seven's box office performance defying the trend, with its fourth-week box office more than doubling that of the previous week. Everyone in the industry marveled at Link's good luck. Lady Luck hadn't abandoned him. However, the timing of this case during the release of Seven also aroused suspicion. Based on the criminal investigation principle of whoever benefits is likely the murderer, before the Simpson murder case, Seven was overshadowed by films like Forrest Gump and True Lies. Just when it seemed destined to lose money, this case suddenly made the film a huge success again. So, is it possible that Link, seeing Seven's poor box office performance, secretly broke into Nicole Brown's house in the middle of the night, murdered Nicole and Langman, framed Simpson, and wrote Greed on the Wall to attract media and public attention? Now that Seven is a box office hit, Link could earn tens of millions of dollars more, gaining more than the suspect, Simpson. Therefore, Link could also be the murderer. Link, there are rumors that you committed the Simpson mansion case, is that true? Ben Affleck asked cautiously on the phone. Of course it's fake, how could you believe such news? Link said helplessly. Ben Affleck wasn't the first acquaintance to call and ask about this. You really didn't kill anyone, do you think I look like a murderer? It's just too coincidental. Seven was just released, and someone's using the name of Seven to commit murder, like they're helping us promote the movie. The film will use the case's popularity to generate tens of millions more in box office revenue, and you'll earn tens of millions more. From that perspective, you have a motive? Get lost. I'm worth over $1 billion, I don't need tens of millions. Why would I risk doing something like this? I can answer that question too. First, you're someone who refuses to admit defeat. Seven was suppressed by the 7 major film studios, and you refused to admit defeat, so you deliberately killed someone for publicity. Second, everyone knows you're very rich and wouldn't kill for tens of millions. You know that too, so you had no qualms and acted decisively for the sake of the movie's box office, using a life for publicity? Are you crazy or am I? Hairhead, why don't you tell me where you were on the night of the incident? What you were doing, and who can testify for you? Okay, stop joking. You should spend more time practicing your acting. You know, of all the male actors I've worked with, you're the most talented but also the laziest. If you put more effort into acting instead of playing cards and chasing girls, your future achievements won't be any less than Clark Gable or Marlon Brando. Really? Ben Affleck asked excitedly. Yes, practice your acting. I have high hopes for you. Okay, I will, Ben Affleck said happily. Link hung up the phone, shook his head, and continued to tutor Liu Kaiankian on her homework. Soon, Robert Shea also called, his tone equally polite, saying that guess what? Pictures planned to use this case to promote the film was excellent, and that Seven had a great chance of breaking $200 million at the North American box office. He also said that Seven's box office in the first few weeks was lower than expected, and the media was pessimistic about the film, but he remained calm and continued to arrange the film's promotion in an orderly manner, praising him as a man of great things. Robert Shea rattled off a long string of statements, but his words were laced with doubt. Boss, you didn't really kill those two, did you? Link didn't offer much explanation, explaining was pointless, and besides, he hadn't killed anyone and wasn't worried about being suspected. However, after Seven topped the box office, an enraged Michael Ovitz and his associates raised tens of millions of dollars and mobilized dozens of small newspapers and magazines to launch a large-scale smear campaign against Link. They claimed Link was the murderer, that the purpose of the murders was to promote Seven, and that people shouldn't watch Seven or support a film about a murderer. These tabloids also mentioned the Muriel murder case that occurred in 1992. That case happened during the filming of Paranormal Activity, and while it wasn't initially very popular, it suddenly became a hot topic after the film's release, becoming one of the biggest criminal cases in the US at the time. Paranormal Activity capitalized on this hype, grossing over $600 million. Now, with Seven released and this major case occurring again, Link's new film was poised for another box office success. This is too much of a coincidence. Anyone who frequently watches movies knows that many seemingly coincidental events are often premeditated. Therefore, both cases were committed by Link. Link wanted to use the murders to promote his movie. Tabloids openly labeled Link a murder director in their reports, even drawing a caricature of him holding not a camera, but a blood-stained machete, with many corpses lying on the ground. Some uninformed people protested in front of the Los Angeles Police Department, demanding that the police list Link as a suspect. Black O.J. Simpson fans marched in the streets, claiming Link was the real killer, not Simpson, and demanding the police release Simpson as soon as possible, arguing that innocent people shouldn't be wrongly accused, otherwise they would stage another riot in Los Angeles. Black rapper Puff Daddy claimed Link was also a suspect, arguing that the police should treat Simpson and Link equally, and put Link in jail as well. He claimed that the police were only arresting Simpson and not Link, which was discriminatory against black people. In response, Guess the movie's legal department and WMA's legal department filed lawsuits against dozens of tabloids and Puff Daddy, demanding apologies to Link. While Link's reputation was somewhat affected by these media accusations, Seven's box office continued its strong performance, boosted by the O.J. Simpson murder case. In its sixth week of release, Seven earned $29.83 million in North America, bringing its total box office to $161 million. With no major releases this week, Seven retained its top spot at the box office. Second place went to Forrest Gump, with $17.75 million and a total of $204 million. Third place was Clear and Simple, with $14.31 million. Fourth place was Darkness of the Night, starring Bruce Willis, with an opening weekend of $6.61 million. The film's production cost of $40 million meant it was essentially guaranteed to lose money. Fifth place was True Lies, with a total box office of $87.05 million. Chapter 243 continues the hype. Seven continues its box office reign at number 1, accumulating $161 million in North America. At its current rate, it's not difficult for the film to surpass $200 million in North America, and there's a strong chance it will catch up with Forrest Gump and reach $300 million, or even more. The fact that Seven has managed to achieve such high box office numbers despite the combined efforts of the 7 major studios to suppress it is undoubtedly a mockery of Michael Ovitz and his associates. It mocks the futility of their efforts. Keep the hype going. No matter how much it costs, keep it going. I want to ruin his reputation, I want to make him utterly disgraced. In the office, Michael Ovitz roared into the phone, his expression contorted with rage. Michael, let it go. The O.J. Simpson murder case is too hot to handle, we can't suppress it, and we can't stop Guess the Movie from using it to promote the film. Seven is a done deal. What we can do now is accept reality and cut our losses. Continuing to spend money to suppress the film will only result in greater financial losses, Langmuir advised. Let go? I won't allow it. He lost his bet with Link last year, and this year he joined forces with his 7 major film studios to gang up on Link, but he still lost? He was unwilling to accept it. In May, we tried to suppress Speed, but failed. In July, we mobilized even more resources and concentrated all our efforts on suppressing Seven. If we fail again, what will others think of us? Will they think we're incompetent? No, I must win. I, Michael Ovitz, will never be an incompetent person. After the huge success of Seven, Michael Ovitz didn't get enough rest for many days. Heavy bags hung under his eyes, and fine lines crisscrossed his forehead and the corners of his eyes, making him appear extremely agitated. But what else can you do? Use the media to spread the rumor that Link is the murderer? Langmuir shook his head. It's useless. Not only would someone of Link's status not do something so foolish, but even if he did, those lawyers would acquit him. You're throwing money at him now, essentially waging a media war. Are you richer than Link? Besides, by spending money to hype him up as the murderer, killing someone to promote a movie, you're indirectly helping him promote the movie. There's no benefit in doing this, so why do it? Michael Ovitz clenched his fists. Are we just going to watch Link's new movie sell like hotcakes and make a fortune? Langmuir said. What does it matter? Link is still in Hollywood. We'll have more time and more opportunities to deal with him in the future. If we can find the right moment next time we strike and concentrate our forces to attack Link's weak points, we might be able to destroy him in one fell swoop. An opportunity? Michael Ovitz narrowed his eyes, thinking of Nicole Kidman's Honey Trap. This might be an opportunity. But accepting this defeat, accepting the fact that his alliance with his 7 major film studios to suppress Seven had failed miserably, still left him seething with resentment. He desperately wanted Nicole Kidman to sleep with Link immediately, for Tom Cruise to catch them in the act, and then to ruin Link's reputation through the media. Unfortunately, this was proving difficult to execute. Knock knock knock. Michael Ovitz's secretary knocked on the door and came in with breaking news. Because many people suspected Link of being the murderer, This morning Link went to the Los Angeles Police Department to explain the situation and request a public statement claiming he had nothing to do with the case. Bang! Upon hearing this news, Michael Ovitz picked up an ashtray full of cigarette butts and smashed it on the floor. That bastard is just creating a media frenzy again. We've all been used by him. Indeed, when Link's car arrived at the police station, dozens of media reporters were there to report. According to the Los Angeles Times, Link entered the police station at 10:23 a.m. and left at 10:41 a.m. According to sources, after entering the police station, Link spoke with Police Chief Robert Luna and Sergeant Foreman, who was in charge of the investigation. The conversation lasted about 14 minutes, and Chief Luna personally escorted Link out. In the police station lobby, Chief Luna gave an interview to reporters, stating that Link could not be the murderer and that none of the evidence collected by the police implicated him. He urged the public not to spread rumors or unfounded suspicions about an innocent person. Because Link is a billionaire and a globally renowned figure, and the O.J. Simpson murder case was currently generating as much buzz as the 1992 presidential election, the combination of these two important news elements created major news. This incident was quickly reported and reprinted by major media outlets across the United States, attracting significant attention and discussion. 17 days after the Simpson murder case, the Los Angeles Police Department released its preliminary investigation results. The main suspect remained Simpson, who was in the neighboring villa on the day of the incident, had both the time and the motive to commit the crime. Two pieces of evidence released by the police were related to the movie Seven. 3 days before the incident, Simpson and his friend Collins had watched the film at the community cinema. Simpson praised the movie and liked Morgan Freeman's performance. The red lettering read on the wall, after expert examination, was determined to be spray paint, not the victim's blood. Neighbors confirmed that the lettering had been there for several days and was not left by the killer on the night of the incident. It's possible it was graffiti left by a Seven fan passing by the villa a few days before the incident. Such graffiti appeared in many places after the release of Seven, belonging to popular culture and not considered unusual. Ultimately, the police announced that the red lettering read on the wall at the crime scene was unrelated to the case. However, Simpson had seen Seven 3 days before the incident. Could the murder scenes in the film have influenced him, triggering his urge to commit the crime and thus imitating John Doe? The police did not rule out this possibility. After the police statement, Link and guessed the movies were temporarily cleared of suspicion. Despite this, the media remained rife with claims that Link was guilty. World Entertainment Weekly commented that even if Link didn't commit the murder, Simpson had watched Seven before the crime, and the film's influence spurred him to such an extreme and cruel act. Link's film was accused of inciting crime, and he was not innocent. Other media outlets claimed that Seven promoted violence and was likely to incite crime, and should be banned. To clarify these rumors, reverse the negative impact of the public opinion on him and his company, and also to promote the film, Link and the crew took time out to participate in numerous interviews and talk shows, publicly discussing Seven and the Simpson case controversy. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Television Interview. Link, what's it like to be treated like a murderer? Can you talk about it with everyone? At the Turner TV recording, host Billy Crystal asked with a smile. Link shrugged, a helpless expression on his face. Billy, this isn't something to joke about. Yes, the Simpson case is a tragedy, not something to laugh about, but what happened to you is a comedy. After Seven was released last month, its box office was crushed by several big films, and it looked like it was going to lose money. Suddenly, this case happened, and it even involved Seven. With media coverage, Seven became a household name, and its box office soared against a trend, winning the box office champion for 2 consecutive weeks, surpassing more than 10 commercial blockbusters in the summer season, becoming the most popular film of the summer. Wow, the way Seven won the championship was very dramatic, like a thrilling and inspirational movie. Clap clap clap. The fans of Seven in the audience applauded enthusiastically. Link waved his thanks and said to Billy Crystal, "You described it so well. It wasn't actually that dramatic." In its first 3 weeks, Seven grossed over $68 million, a drop of less than 30%, and received very positive reviews. For an art house film, these are excellent figures. Even without the subsequent unforeseen events, the film's North American box office would have exceeded $100 million, possibly even surpassing $200 million. The recent incident only accelerated the recovery process, not saved Seven from near loss. You mentioned that even without the unforeseen events, Seven would have surpassed $200 million at the North American box office? It seems you have a lot of confidence in this film, Billy Crystal said. Yes, after all, it's a pretty good movie, isn't it? Yes, Seven is truly fantastic. The cinematography, set design, lighting, and color palette are all classic. What impressed me most was the last 10 minutes, the confrontation between the three leads in the taxi, a true acting showdown, and John Doe's final scheme. The plot twists and turns constantly, you can't be sure what will happen until the very last second. It's brilliant. This is definitely the best suspense film I've ever seen, and a very un-Hollywood-like Hollywood film. Director Martin Scorsese said this film deserves a Palme d'Or, and I completely agree. Billy Crystal had clearly done his homework beforehand. He concisely explained the most exciting parts of Seven without giving away any spoilers. See, you like Seven so much, which is why I'm confident about the box office, Link said, shrugging. However, Link, after the huge success of Seven, some media criticized the film for praising and encouraging violence, which could easily incite criminals to imitate it and cause social unrest. The Simpson Mansion murders may have been inspired by this film. What do you think of this view? This question touches on the definition of film. From the audience's perspective, there are good films and bad films. A good film is one that makes you feel it's worth the price of a ticket, while a bad film is the opposite. From a filmmaker's perspective, a good film is a meaningful film, while a bad film is meaningless and empty. Currently, most Hollywood films only have entertainment value, such as comedies, horror films, and animated films. While watching them, people laugh, feel happy, or scream in fright. Releasing their emotions and relaxing their bodies, these are all values of film. But if all films only have entertainment value, what will happen to films in the end? Films will become worthless. Because entertainment isn't something only films can provide, other forms of entertainment are also willing to provide it. In the long run, films will soon be replaced by other forms of entertainment, such as the currently popular video games. The most unique significance, or rather, the charm, of film lies in the fact that it is not merely simple entertainment, it can also possess depth, educational value, cautionary message, cultural dissemination, value guidance, intellectual enlightenment, and thought-provoking content. Examples include the increasing number of environmental films, humanistic films opposing racial discrimination, and science fiction films showcasing the allure of technology. These unique meanings make film an irreplaceable form of entertainment. If we analyze Seven from this perspective, we'll find that it doesn't glorify violence, but rather exposes the ugliness and darkness of society. These darknesses are like cancer in the body of society. If they are not exposed and ignored, and their existence is tolerated, even early-stage cancer can become incurable, causing immense harm to American society and even all of humanity. Seven boldly exposes the deep-seated problems in our society, allowing people to see the issues, pay attention to them, and urge the government to actively address them, so that these problems can disappear. From this perspective, this film is more like a scalpel, cutting open the deep-seated problems, warning society, and prompting it to develop in a positive direction. It is a film with positive significance, not the opposite. After he finished speaking, Billy Crystal and hundreds of audience members applauded and cheered for over a minute without stopping, forcing Link to stand up and thank him. "This guy always says I'm long-winded, but he's actually more long-winded than me," Quentin quipped, watching TV. "Really? Link makes a lot of sense, everyone likes to listen," Robert Rodriguez said. HMPH, that's only because his movies are big hits. If his movies lose money, people will just think he's long-winded, Quentin said with a smirk. Last time he appeared on Billy's Movie Talk, he talked a lot, but the audience didn't give him such enthusiastic applause, which made him unhappy. "Dad, wasn't Link great?" Sophia asked, smiling at the TV. So, just repeating the same old things, not much meaning," Coppola said dismissively. Sophia rolled her eyes at him. "What about Seven? Is it a good movie?" So. "The script is good. Any other director could have made it well. Technically speaking, Link is a competent director, but not a particularly outstanding one," Coppola said. Sophia retorted, "Link makes both commercial and art house films very well, achieving both box office success and critical acclaim. He handles both low-budget and high-budget films skillfully. If that's not an excellent director, what is? I think you're just jealous of him and won't admit he's good. Jealous of him? What a joke. He made the Godfather series? He won the Oscar for Best Director. Coppola immediately retorted. You're jealous of his youth. Link became an internationally renowned director at 22, while you were still a laborer on a film set at 22, right, eh? Francis Coppola opened his mouth, unable to refute. Link is indeed quite talented. At 22, while many directors are still in university or gaining experience on set, he's already directed a high-quality art film like Seven. Technically speaking, he's a top-tier Hollywood director. But morally, he's a scoundrel. With money and fame, he's been hooking up with pretty girls, bewitching them. He's a real jerk. For him to admit Link is a good director, he'll have to leave his precious daughter alone first. Seeing his daughter gazing adoringly at Link on TV, director Coppola felt even more annoyed. He picked up the remote to change the channel, but Mrs. Coppola slapped his arm, scolding, "What are you doing? Link's talking is great, why are you holding the remote?" Sophia looked at him, puzzled. Director Coppola, his face darkening, glared at Link on TV. That kid was really annoying. Link, I recently read some reviews of Seven, and one critic said that while the main characters were all good people, none of them had a happy ending. He felt this was a deliberate plot device to increase dramatic conflict and lacked plausibility. After watching the film, I also found that all four main characters were good people, including the killer John Doe, who could be considered a Robin Hood-like figure. But in the end, none of them had a happy ending. Do you think this arrangement is reasonable? Billy Crystal began discussing the plot with him. Link thought for a moment and said, in real life, these kinds of people exist. But they are scattered throughout society, making it difficult to portray them as such in opposition as in the film. In the film, I brought them together and pitted them against each other. That's the charm of drama. The reason they didn't have a happy ending is because they were all perfectionists, or idealists. Oh? How so? Billy Crystal chimed in. Take Detective William, for example. He was a highly capable and shrewd man. If he had been more flexible in his work and willing to associate with the bad guys around him, he wouldn't be just an ordinary detective at his age, he might be a high-ranking officer. Detective Mills was conscientious, ambitious, brave, and hated evil. If he hadn't been so ambitious, he might have stayed in his small town instead of coming to New York to make his way in the world. Or if he had been a little more timid, he might have backed down after John Doe held a gun to his head. And then there's Tracy, a gentle, considerate, loyal, strong, and understanding wife. If she had been a little more selfish and opposed coming to New York with her husband and living in a cramped apartment, she wouldn't have met her end. Finally, there's John Doe. If he had been as indifferent as the others, turning a blind eye to the ugliness around him, he would have become an excellent journalist instead of a murderer. They were all good people in some sense, but none of them had a good ending because they were too much of a perfectionist. So you think being a perfectionist is a bad thing? Billy Crystal asked. It's not a matter of good or bad. It's more accurate to say it's a choice. Take my colleagues, for example. Some directors pursue pure cinematic art, preferring to make films with an artistic flair. To maintain this purity, they stay away from commercial films and disdain pandering to the market. These directors might become famous if they're lucky, but most will disappear from the film industry quietly after making one or two films. On the other hand, some directors actively cater to the market and audiences, making many films that audiences love, thus becoming famous directors, earning a lot of money, and living a relatively luxurious life. Like me, the audience laughed heartily. Link continued, directors who choose pure cinematic art can give up fame and fortune and uphold their principles, while directors who pursue fame and fortune actively cater to the market, making films that audiences like, and simultaneously gaining fame and fortune. These two types of directors cannot be distinguished as good or bad, they simply make different choices. The main characters in Seven are the same, they always act according to their own principles in the film, without compromise or following the crowd. Some people consider them good people, probably based on this. The audience applauded again. Chapter 245 The Perfect Man. Link is such a wonderful man, young, handsome, witty, talented, and with a gentle smile. He seems to have no flaws, Diane Lane commented while watching television in the Golden Oak Apartments. Yes, Link is truly perfect, Michelle Pfeiffer agreed, even considering Link more perfect than Diane Lane described. "Hey, don't forget he's a playboy with many girlfriends," Jodie Foster reminded her. "Having many women like him means he's a very charming man. Would you like a man no women like?" Michelle Pfeiffer laughed. Diane Lane agreed, "Link may have a lot of scandals, but he's also very hard-working. He manages the company while constantly making movies. I heard that after finishing The Butterfly Effect, he went to other film crews to work as a producer and editor. After that, he returned to Los Angeles to promote the film, and I heard he's now preparing for a new film project. He's so diligent. Who in Hollywood dares to say they're more diligent than him?" Jodie Foster pursed her lips, speechless. Even if Link had 1,000 flaws, his hard work was undeniable. He had strong self-discipline and healthy lifestyle habits. After work every day, he wouldn't go to parties or bars like others, but would continue working at home. Calling him a workaholic wouldn't be an exaggeration. Michelle Pfeiffer nodded, looking at Diane Lane with surprise. "Diane, you seem to know Link quite well. I heard Link has more than just those girlfriends he's publicly known, he has some others he hasn't made public. Are you one of them?" "No, Link is a big shot. How would I ever have the chance to meet him? I heard it from Jennifer Connelly. Don't forget, I'm also a client of WMA, Diane Lane said. Jennifer Connelly is very lucky. With Link's support, she's becoming more and more popular, Michelle Pfeiffer said. Yes, Jennifer's face is full of happiness every time she talks about Link. I asked her if she didn't mind that Link is a bit of a womanizer, and Jennifer said a little, but she could tolerate it because Link is so amazing, he makes her infatuated. Jennifer speaks with such rapture, it's truly enviable, Diane Lane sighed. Michelle Pfeiffer recalled the days and nights she spent with Link and could somewhat understand Jennifer's feelings. She squeezed her knees together, still feeling a profound sense of fulfillment that sent shivers down her spine. Michelle, what's wrong? You smell so good. Jodie Foster suddenly reached out and hugged Michelle. Stop it, Michelle Pfeiffer laughed and pushed her away. On the television, Billy Crystal continued, Link, you just mentioned that you chose to become a director who pursues fame and fortune, rather than pure film art. Now that you're famous, do you regret your past choices? No, Link said. Everyone knows that I was poor when I started out. For poor people, solving the problem of survival is the most important thing. Artistic pursuits are built on the foundation of food and clothing. If I hadn't made money on the Barrett project, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to direct films later, let alone pursue art. So I don't regret it, because I had no other choice at the time. Clap, clap, clap. Billy Crystal clapped his hands. Link, let's get back to the film. This time I'm going to ask a very bold question. If you feel uncomfortable, you can choose not to answer. I hope it's not a personal matter, Link said with a smile, taking a sip of water. Haha, no, since the summer movie season started. There's been a rumor circulating in the entertainment industry that Guess What Film Studios is going up against the Big 7 studios, and you're going to take on all 7 of them. Ultimately, with Speed and 7, you've defeated the Big 7 and become the biggest winner of the summer. What do you think of this? Of course, you don't have to answer if you feel uncomfortable, Billy Crystal asked. Link shook his head and smiled. Can we talk about this kind of thing publicly? We can talk about anything if you want, okay? First of all, your statement is inaccurate. It's not that Guess What Film Studios is going up against the Big 7 studios, but against all the Hollywood film companies. And Guess What Film Studios isn't going up against 7, but against 100. Oh, how do you explain that? Billy asked, puzzled. In any industry, competitors are always rivals, and the film industry is no exception. Summer movie seasons are limited, and total box office revenue is also very limited, around $2 billion. For a Guess the Movies film to achieve good box office results, it has to compete with all its peers, including the Big 7 studios. This year, thanks to strong audience support, both of Guess the Movies films have achieved good box office results, making it the only film company with 2 films grossing over $100 million in North America during the summer season. You wouldn't be wrong to say that Guess the Movies is the biggest winner of the summer season, Link laughed. Billy Crystal looked at Link helplessly. This guy was too cunning. What was originally a controversial issue had become a mundane business competition for him. Hearing that Link didn't want to discuss the issue further, Billy Crystal tactfully skipped it and started asking other questions. Link is indeed a formidable guy, Harvey Weinstein said, a cigar dangling from his mouth, squinting at Link on the television. Before the summer blockbuster season, Michael Ovitz, along with Warner Brothers, Universal Pictures, Fox, Paramount Pictures, Castle Rock, and Carlock Pictures, planned to severely suppress Link and Guess the Movies, stealing the box office revenue and returning Hollywood to the pre-1992 era, dominated by the Big Seven studios and numerous small independent production companies. Harvey Weinstein, upon hearing this, believed Link and Guess the Movies were doomed and had no chance of winning. During the summer blockbuster season, films from the Big Seven studios suffered box office failures, while Guess the Movies' speed, despite competition from numerous blockbusters, still grossed over $100 million, gaining an early advantage. In July, the Big Seven studios launched a major offensive, aiming to crush Link with Seven, and the 7 major media groups also sided with them, increasing Guess the Movies' promotional costs. At this point, Harvey thought Link would back down and concede more shares to capital. But Link didn't do that. He shouldered immense pressure and risk, investing tens of millions of dollars to promote the film, waging a media war against the 7 major studios, seemingly unconcerned about potential losses. With his strong support, Seven was released amidst fierce competition from numerous blockbusters. The film was of high quality, but influenced by public opinion. Its initial performance was lukewarm, far below Link's previous films at the box office. Many thought Seven had no chance of recovery, and that Link would suffer his first professional defeat. But no one expected the O.J. Simpson case to suddenly erupt in madness and kill his wife, and someone to write "Read" on the villa wall beforehand, perfectly integrating Seven into this sensational case. Link, a master of publicity, saw an opportunity and used the case to promote Seven. Seven became a box office hit, successfully countering blockbusters like Forrest Gump and True Lies, and launching a counter-offensive against the 7 studios. The film's success also signified the failure of the 7 studios' first attempt to undermine Guess the Movies. Link, single-handedly, successfully defeated the Michael Ovitz alliance. This shows that Link is not only a successful director but also a shrewd businessman. Harvey, smoking a cigar, considered whether to contact Link more often and further deepen their cooperation. Don't think too highly of Link. If it weren't for a sensational case like the O.J. Simpson murder case, Seven might have lost money. Link just had good luck, Bob Weinstein said, eating a hot dog. Harvey shook his head. It's not just luck. If Link hadn't resisted the pressure from the Big Seven studios and had given up early, or hadn't been willing to invest heavily in promotion early on, even with a big news story like the O.J. Simpson murder case, Seven wouldn't have been a big hit. From this perspective, Link is calm, decisive, intelligent, resourceful, and very bold. A person like him can succeed. It's not just about luck. Bob chewed on a fragrant sausage. Should we deepen our cooperation with Link? I'm still considering it. Harvey stared at Link on the TV, somewhat hesitant. Although the combined efforts of the 7 major studios to suppress Link failed, they still maintained their dominance in Hollywood. If Guess Movies continues to profit and carve up the market share that previously belonged to the 7 studios, the 7 studios will inevitably launch another crackdown on Link and Guess Movies, perhaps with even greater intensity this time. If they deepen their cooperation with the Guess Movies and co-produce films, Miramax Films will be seen as Link's ally by the 7 studios when the two sides clash, suffering collateral damage. If they don't cooperate, they will miss many lucrative opportunities. Therefore, Harvey is hesitant about this matter. Chapter 246 successfully concluded. After recording Billy Talks Movies, Link continued to participate in other interviews, discussing Seven, his experience of being wrongly accused in the past few days, and the progress of his new film. After several days of continuous publicity and public relations, although some media outlets were still speculating that he was a murderer, audiences, after watching Link's several interviews, clearly believe him more. The argument that he was a murderer lost its appeal, and related reports decreased significantly. Link's personal reputation gradually recovered, and the reputation of Seven also turned around. In its 7th week, Seven continued its box office success, grossing $25.83 million in North America. With no major blockbusters released this week, Seven held the top spot at the box office for the 3rd consecutive week. Second place went to Warner Brothers' crime film Natural Born Killers, written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Oliver Stone, and starring Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. The cameo appearance of O.J. Simpson, the protagonist of the O.J. murder case, contributed to the film's strong opening weekend, grossing $14.16 million in 1,810 theaters. Third place went to Forrest Gump with $12.75 million, bringing its total to $216 million. Fourth place was Clear and Simple with $8.31 million. Fifth place was True Lies with $6.48 million, bringing its total to $89.05 million. In its seventh week of release, Seven had grossed $186 million in North America and is expected to surpass $200 million next week, becoming the third film this year, after The Lion King and Forrest Gump, to break the $200 million mark in North America. Since early August, Seven has also been released in 54 countries and regions overseas. Currently, Seven has grossed approximately $238 million overseas, growing faster than in North America and receiving more positive reviews. Its overseas box office is projected to be no less than $400 million. Haha, Link, congratulations, Seven is fantastic, and you are absolutely amazing. You are definitely the best director in the world, bar none. Greg Davis, Chief Investment Officer of Vanguard Capital, excitedly praised Link over the phone. From an investor's perspective, Link is undoubtedly the best director in the world. His films have low budgets but extremely high returns. Every film he makes is a box office hit, never causing investors any losses. No other director in the industry can compare to him in this regard, not even George Lucas, who has never lost money, James Cameron, whose performance has improved in recent years, or Spielberg, whose films are consistently excellent. They don't make money as fast or as efficiently as Link. Link is also the director that all investors most want to work with. Currently, Seven has grossed $420 million worldwide, and the total box office is expected to exceed $700 million, even reaching $800 million. This achievement is dazzling. As a shareholder and beneficiary of the company, Greg Davison has every reason to be excited and doesn't mind using more praise to flatter Link. As long as Link continues to make money, he'd even consider dedicating himself to him, let alone praising him. Link, hearing Greg's increasingly sycophantic praise, quickly stopped him. We can't be too happy yet. In the past few weeks, some media outlets have been deliberately targeting me and Seven. There's no guarantee it won't happen again. If Seven gets more negative press, the box office drop will be even greater, so now is not the time to be happy. Haha, Link, don't worry about the negative press. Seven is doing well at the box office, and the company is willing to help intervene in related reports. With the company's connections, I guarantee there won't be too much negative news in the media later, Greg Davis said. The reason Leading Capital was willing to intervene in the media group's work was because Seven had a good box office prospect, no worse than the summer blockbuster Forrest Gump. As shareholders, they were also beneficiaries. Now, media reports of negative news about Seven were preventing them from making money. This was intolerable. Furthermore, Leading Capital was also a shareholder of several major media groups. For their media outlets to publish negative news about Seven was just creating trouble for themselves, and they wouldn't do that. The only problem now is that Vanguard Capital's stake in Guess the Movies is too small. Link is the one who benefits the most from protecting Seven. This has dissatisfied investors, who are urging Greg Davis to contact Link more quickly and offer more shares for financing. If Vanguard Capital owns more than 60% of Guess the Movies, they are willing to treat it as an equal, like the 7 major film studios. Hearing Greg's words, Link stated that the second round of financing is expected to take place in the second half of next year, and the plan is already set. Any changes would affect the company's development. Greg Davis said he was willing to wait. Firstly, Guess the Movies has great potential and extremely high investment value. Secondly, according to Link, the second round of financing will prioritize investment companies with friendly relationships. Vanguard Capital's proactive help in suppressing negative publicity for Seven demonstrates considerable goodwill, and Vanguard Capital has the opportunity to acquire more shares in the next round. For the sake of these shares, he will be more patient. After hanging up the phone, Link smiled. Before Greg called, Hank Paulson, a senior partner at Morgan Stanley, had also called. Hank was even more enthusiastic than Greg, constantly trying to curry favor and hoping to acquire more shares in Guess Movies. He even hinted that if Greg was willing to cooperate deeply with Morgan Stanley, they would provide more assistance, and would fully support Guess Movies' future acquisition of the 7 studios, making him the most powerful person in Hollywood, the king of Hollywood. Their attitude was extremely enthusiastic. The main reason was that Guess Movies films were box office hits, making a lot of money, and they didn't want to miss this opportunity to profit from it. If Guess Movies suffered losses during the summer season, or performed poorly under pressure from the 7 studios, these people probably wouldn't be so agreeable. This is the profit-driven nature of capital. Link understood very well what capital was. Because he was capital himself. Ring ring. Soon, Robert Shea, Harvey Weinstein, Graydon Carter, Chen Long, Gong Li, and others called one after another to congratulate him on the global success of 7. Robert Shea and Harvey Weinstein reiterated their partnership on the phone and expressed their desire to deepen their collaboration. Graydon Carter invited him to play golf at the club. Chen Long mentioned Rumble in the Bronx on the phone. The film was now finished and he wanted to see it and offer his advice. Link agreed. Gong Li half-jokingly said on the phone that she had just finished filming Shanghai Triad and planned to come to Hollywood next year to join him, asking if he would take her in. Link told her to come, he would cover all her needs. Knock knock knock. Boss, 7 is a huge hit, should we throw a party to celebrate? Michael Leeson came in to ask for instructions. Yes, we should celebrate. You arrange it. Make it a big event, invite everyone who supported us during the summer season. I'll be there. Yes, boss. Michael Leeson nodded and left. Link put down his folder, leaned back in his chair, and sighed. He's been busy putting out fires and promoting his movie lately, running around every day. Although he's not physically tired, he's mentally exhausted. Now that the movie has been successfully released, he plans to take a break and then prepare for new movie projects in better condition. Chapter 247 Box Office Review. After attending the company's celebration party, Link temporarily put aside his work and took Monica, Jennifer, and Liu Xiaoli on vacation to Hawaii to enjoy the sun, sand, and beautiful women. By September, the summer movie season had ended. Complete Film magazine released the performance reports of major film studios during this summer's movie season. This summer's movie season ran from May to the end of August, with 69 films released. Currently, 6 films have grossed over $100 million in North America, and 13 films have grossed over $50 million in North America. This is 3 more films than last summer's season. Films from Guessing Pictures, Paramount Pictures, and Disney Studios performed particularly well during the summer. Guessing Pictures released 3 films this summer. Speed and 7 both grossed over $100 million in North America, at $122 million and $205 million respectively. The third film was Ang Lee's Drink Man Woman, released in early August, which currently has a box office of $6.37 million. While not a blockbuster, it is still a profitable film considering its production cost of $2.2 million. Paramount Pictures released 6 films, with Forrest Gump currently grossing over $218 million in North America and Clear and Simple expected to surpass $100 million. Disney released 8 films, with The Lion King grossing over $250 million in North America and When Men Love Women and Magic League reaching $50 million each. Other film companies performed moderately. The biggest loser of the summer was Warner Brothers' Western action film White Earp. Starring Kevin Costner, the film had a production cost of $63 million and currently grossed $15.41 million, with an estimated loss of over $50 million. The second biggest loser was Disney's Nightfall, expected to lose over $30 million. The third biggest loser was Paramount Pictures' Beverly Hills Cop 3, with a production cost of $50 million and currently grossing $36.48 million, resulting in a loss of approximately $40 million. Including the additional promotional costs incurred by Paramount to suppress Speed, the loss exceeded $50 million. The fourth Columbia Pictures production, Guess the Bodyguard, was released in July. With a production cost of $40 million, it has grossed less than $6 million so far, with an estimated loss of over $30 million. The other 3 of the Big 7 studios also have several films that have significantly lost money at the box office, with MGM losing $200 million. From this perspective, Guess the Movies is undoubtedly the biggest winner of this summer's box office. After the release of the film company's financial reports, Guess the Movies' performance during the summer season attracted much attention. Especially noteworthy is that, despite the pressure from the Big 7 studios, Guess the Movies' films Speed and 7 have been box office hits, one grossing over $100 million and the other surpassing $200 million in North America, for a total box office revenue exceeding $300 million, making it the highest-grossing studio in the industry. This achievement is dazzling, making the Big Seven studios look rather lackluster. Aaron Kutch, deputy editor of The Hollywood Reporter, commented jokingly that the Big Seven studios weren't actually suppressing Guess the Movies, but rather helping Guess the Movies distribute its films. For example, when Speed was released, the 7 major studios, worried that the film wouldn't perform well at the box office, deliberately released several bad films to compete with it. With the selfless help of the 7 studios, Speed easily won. After the release of 7, the 7 studios, concerned that the film wasn't famous enough, raised millions of dollars to release negative reviews of 7 in the media, drawing more attention to the film and forcing fans to support it. With the selfless assistance of the 7 studios, 7 was another box office hit. Therefore, Guessing Games should thank the 7 studios, who made a significant contribution to the success of Guessing Games films. The Los Angeles Times, in its commentary on the summer box office results, took a relatively objective and neutral stance. The newspaper believed that the success of Guessing Games films was due to a combination of strength and luck. Firstly, strength, as both films released by Guessing Games during the summer were of good quality. Speed is a solid popcorn movie, featuring car chases, gunfights, handsome men and beautiful women, police versus criminals, a tight and exciting plot, and constant thrills, making it a strong contender for box office success. 7 is of even higher quality. In this film, Lincoln Parker demonstrates exceptional plot control, seamlessly blending elements of art house and commercial cinema. This results in a film with both profound artistic merit and commercial appeal. Coupled with its Palme d'Or win, its box office success is a testament to its quality. However, luck also played a role in the success of both films. When Speed was released, several other films were below expectations, freeing up significant box office revenue for Speed. Meanwhile, 7 was released during the Simpson Mansion case, a case connected to the film's plot, generating considerable buzz and attention. The Los Angeles Times believes that the success of both Speed and 7 was a combination of talent and luck. Some media outlets, however, have commented less objectively on the news that Guess.com Studios emerged as the biggest winner of the summer season. The Chicago Tribune commented that Link had previously stated in an interview that he would no longer use social news to promote films, but he failed to keep his word. After the Simpson Mansion case, Link and Guess the Movie clearly exploited the case for publicity, and Link broke his promise. Soon, other media outlets refuted the Chicago Tribune's view. The San Francisco Examiner argued that such accusations were baseless. First, the Simpson case was related to 7, but 7 did not actively use the case for publicity, nor did Guess the Movie create the case for promotion. Second, after the Simpson case broke, many media outlets smeared Link, falsely accusing him of murder. An innocent person being falsely accused would be foolish not to refute such accusations, and Link and Guess the Movie's response was perfectly reasonable. Finally, 7 is a classic film that deserves to be seen by more people. No amount of promotion is excessive for such a film. The newspaper also suggested that Link should use maximum promotion for future films like 7, as moviegoers would be happy to support them. However, this wouldn't be necessary for films like The Blair Witch Project. Other media outlets also focused on Guess Movies' performance in the first 3 quarters. As of September, Guess Movies had released 5 films, 3 of which grossed over $100 million in North America: Dumb and Dumber, Speed, and 7, with 7 surpassing $200 million. This makes Guess Movies the only Hollywood studio currently with 3 films grossing over $100 million in North America. Based on current box office revenue, Guess Movies is poised to rank among the top 3 in the industry. This summer's box office success has made its peers in the film industry envious. Chapter 248 Popular Figures. North American box office is projected to be over $300 million, and overseas over $400 million. This movie is going to gross over $700 million, and that's in US dollars. Link is really sharp. Chen Long, at Golden Harvest Films in Hong Kong, looked at the box office figures for 7 in the newspaper and clicked his tongue in amazement. In Hong Kong, the highest-grossing film only grossed around 50 to 60 million Hong Kong dollars. Link's Paranormal Activity grossed $600 million worldwide, equivalent to 4-5 billion Hong Kong dollars, higher than the total box office revenue for the entire year in Hong Kong. This 7 is even more remarkable, projected to gross over $700 million worldwide. Adding speed, guess what? The film company's global box office revenue during the summer season will exceed $1 billion, or 7-8 billion Hong Kong dollars, making more money than a Fortune 500 company. Chen Long was drooling with envy. Don't just see how much money he makes, you also need to see his difficulties. Look at this news. It says the 7 major film studios couldn't outsell Link, and they're framing him as a murderer, hoping to ruin him with these methods. This shows how difficult it is for Chinese people to establish themselves in Hollywood, Golden Harvest President Raymond Chow sighed, looking at the second-hand news reprinted by the British media. Will Link be in trouble? No, Link is worth over $1 billion. People with that kind of net worth are high and mighty in America. He has a large group of lawyers around him, and maybe even friends in politics. It's hard to do anything to him based on these rumors, Chow said, shaking the newspaper. Chen Long nodded. Post-production on Rumble in the Bronx is finished, said Zhu Wenhui. I'll have someone take it to the US in September so Link can take a look and give us some pointers. If all goes well, it'll be released in the US in the first half of next year. Me too, he asked. What else do you do in Hong Kong besides chasing girls? Go along and see what's going on. Since you're planning to develop your career in Hollywood, you need to be determined. Buy a property there first, and bring Feng Jiao and Zuman with you. Don't just come back and mess around all the time. Spend more time with Link in Hollywood, build a good relationship, and he'll include you when he gets a good film project. Zhu Wenhui was Chen Long's godfather, so there was no need to be polite with him. Yes, Dad, you're right, Chen Long chuckled, rubbing his nose. Zhu Wenhui continued reading the newspaper, then suddenly looked up again. By the way, Link chose Vivian Chow for the female lead. Did you see them dating during filming? No, I don't think so. Link came to the set once when Rumble in the Bronx started filming and talked to Vivian Chow for a few minutes, but he hasn't come back since. I heard he's filming a new movie and doesn't have time to come. Godfather, why are you asking this? Chen Long asked. Does Vivian Chow have Link's contact information? Has she contacted him? I heard Link gave her his business card, but I don't know if she's contacted him, Chen Long said. That makes things difficult. If Link is interested in Vivian Chow, he could use her to get to know him. Now their relationship is unclear, so we've lost an insurance policy. Godfather, are you helping Link pimp? Ouch! Before he could finish speaking, a newspaper hid him, and Chen Long almost jumped off the sofa. Zhu Wenhui glared at him. What pimping? This is paving the way for you. Do you know who Link is? A world-renowned director, owner of the largest independent film company in Hollywood, and one of the top 300 billionaires in the United States. If he takes a liking to you and is willing to make you the male lead in a Hollywood movie, you can earn US dollars in the US and be a big shot when you return to Hong Kong. Everyone will fawn over you. Now I'm talking to you about serious matters and you're all smiles. Do you want to be a nobody in Hollywood, Godfather? I know I was wrong. I'll listen to you, Chen Long said, rubbing his big nose. Go ask Vivian Chow if she wants to develop her career in Hollywood. If she agrees, you can take her with you next time. Link chose her from 10 actresses, so he must like her. It's better for her to have Link take care of her in Hollywood than to be entangled with Ni Jiaze in Hong Kong. If she doesn't want to go, don't worry about her. There are plenty of beautiful women in the entertainment industry. After you go to Hollywood, keep in touch with Link. You like chasing girls, and so does he. You'll have common topics. You can introduce him to a few girls when you have the chance. He'll remember your kindness. You'll have a powerful backer and plenty of resources in Hollywood, and you can establish yourself sooner. Do you understand? Zhu Wenhui had once single-handedly made Bruce Lee a star. He had more experience than his Hong Kong counterparts in promoting actors overseas and understood better how important it was for Chinese actors to have a strong backer in Hollywood. Dad, I understand. I'll call Link in a bit and ask him what kind of girls he likes. I guarantee he'll be satisfied. Chen Long laughed as he took out his mobile phone. Zhu Wenhui shook his head but didn't stop him. American media described Link as a playboy who enjoyed dating various women, a trait he shared with Chen Long. He'd be happy if the two became friends because of this shared interest. Richard, I think we should change our attitude towards Link, Warner Brothers. President Miguel Goss sighed to Richard Fox, Executive Vice President of Production, as he looked at the company's financial results. Richard Fox nodded thoughtfully. While Warner Brothers films had been box office hits during the summer, White Earp had been a box office flop, and films like The Client and Natural Born Killers had performed poorly. As senior executives, they were under immense pressure. If things continue this way, this management team might face early dismissal. Michael Ovitz probably won't give up. Migos shook his head. The competition between the Big Seven studios and Guess the Movie is an internal industry competition. Michael Ovitz, an outsider, insists on getting involved and becoming the vanguard in suppressing Guess the Movie. In reality, this is very unwise. He's probably been blinded by the title of Hollywood's most powerful man, thinking he's omnipotent. However, after losing to Link twice in a row, his prestige in Hollywood has seriously declined, and there are constant internal conflicts within CAA. Next, he should be considering how to stabilize CAA and maintain competitiveness in the talent agency field, rather than continuing to interfere in the internal competition of the film industry. If he remains obstinate and continues to target Guess the Movie, given his abilities and track record, cooperating with him is not a good thing. Richard Fox nodded. What are your plans regarding Link? I heard your production department is not satisfied with the choice of Tim Burton as director, Migos asked. Yes, Tim Burton is a very capable director. His films have a distinct personal style, gothic, dark, and grotesque, but this style is too niche in Hollywood, especially for a blockbuster like Batman. We suggest inviting a director with a style closer to the mainstream to direct the Batman sequel, Richard Fox said. Batman is a superhero character developed by Warner Bros. Pictures. Starting in 1989, Warner Bros. Pictures released two Batman films, Batman and Batman Returns, both directed by Tim Burton. The first film grossed $410 million worldwide, and the second, released in 1992, grossed $265 million worldwide. These two films performed reasonably well, but Warner Bros. Pictures wasn't satisfied, believing the Batman series should be closer to mainstream commercial films to achieve higher box office returns. Therefore, they decided to change directors for the third film. How about Link? Miguel Goss pointed to the man on the magazine cover, young yet exuding confidence. Link, Richard Fox stroked his stubble. Seven was a good film, combining artistry and commercial appeal. Final Destination and Paranormal Activity were also successful commercial films. Inviting him to direct would be a good idea, but Link's fees are very high, and we have a conflict with our company. It might not be easy to get him to direct. We can try. Inviting him to direct the Batman sequel was also a way of conveying a sense of reconciliation. He's a smart man, he shouldn't want another partner, Miguel Goss said. Richard Fox nodded. Chapter 249 The Four Beauties. Hawaii. Oahu is the third largest island in the Hawaiian archipelago and home to Honolulu, the political, cultural, economic, and transportation center of Hawaii. It boasts blue skies, white clouds, and azure waves, the scenic peaks, and numerous scenic beaches. Larger beaches have been developed into public beaches, attracting tourists. Smaller beaches have been purchased by wealthy individuals and transformed into luxury estates. One such wealthy individual is Link. His beach, located southwest of Honolulu, covers approximately 4.2 hectares and includes a seaside estate, 2 marinas, 2.1 hectares of pristine sand, and 3 golf courses, among other amenities. It was sold for $32 million. The beach, situated in a bay, is long and narrow, crescent-shaped, with fine, white sand. At night, viewed from the distant rocks, the beach resembles a crescent moon, hence its name, Moon Bay Beach. Link did not change the name after purchasing the beach. Woohoo! In the morning, the Moon Bay area is bathed in sunshine, with blue skies and white clouds. The temperature is neither too hot nor too cold, and the turquoise waves gently lap against the stern of the yacht, propelling it quickly towards the shore. Sam Haskell and Richard Fox sat on the yacht, gazing out at the beach from the deck. Surrounding it were vast palm groves and tropical fruit plantations, lush and verdant in summer, many branches laden with fruit. Behind the botanical gardens lay 6 Hawaiian-style villas and viewpoints, along with over 20 interconnected, pointed-roof pavilions that stretched from the beach pier to the distant, towering cliffs, interspersed with several towering tropical trees, a truly spectacular sight. Some locals were active around the beach, but they were all dressed identically, appearing more like servants, bustling about the estate, busy with their tasks. Link really knows how to enjoy life, Sam Haskell remarked. Richard Fox, snapping out of his reverie, couldn't help but smile, agreeing with Sam's assessment. Media reports stated that after making his fortune, Link had spent tens of millions of dollars to buy the most luxurious villa in Beverly Hills. The Hawaiian estate is even larger, located within the Oahu resort area, less than 3 kilometers from the capital, Honolulu, and its price is likely not cheap. Link spent over $100 million on real estate alone, a rarity even among America's top billionaires. However, considering Link is only 22 years old, has a net worth of nearly $2 billion, his movies continue to be box office hits, and his company continues to make money, such spending isn't excessive. "Gentlemen, we've arrived. Please disembark here," the villa's butler announced as the yacht arrived at the dock. Sam Haskell and Richard Fox disembarked from the yacht, got into a convertible, and drove to the beach. 4 or 5 minutes later, the car stopped, and he got out and walked along the long corridor in the middle of the pavilion towards the villa area. "Ouch, Link, be gentle, my chest hurts, haha, Link, harder. Jennifer loves it when you slam dunk on her with all your might, Rennie, stop it." As they walked, a burst of playful laughter came from not far away. The two turned to look at the beach by the palm grove. On the sun-drenched beach, several rows of tall palm trees provided some shade with their lush foliage, and several scantily clad men and women were playing volleyball in the middle of the sand. To be more specific, it was Link with 4 hot and sexy women. Sam Haskell squinted and glanced at them, recognizing 3 of them: Sandra Bullock, who had recently become a sensation with Speed, Renee Zellweger, the lead actress in the Blair Witch Project, and Julianne Moore, the second lead actress in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. These 3 were all acquaintances. Only the Latina woman in the black bikini was unfamiliar. She was over 170 centimeters tall, with tan skin, a slim waist, and long legs. When she jumped to bounce the ball, her calf and thigh muscles taut, making her buttocks even more shapely and sexy. She was the loudest during the game, having a blast like a beautiful wild horse. "Gentlemen, this way," the villa's butler reminded them. Sam Haskell and Richard Fox quickly snapped out of their reverie and continued walking, occasionally glancing back at the beach court and the 5 energetic figures. Sam Haskell once again marveled at Link's lifestyle. On vacation, he not only had a beautiful beach and a luxurious villa, but also 4 sexy women by his side. Life was too good to be true. Richard Fox, standing beside him, was also feeling a surge of emotions. He recognized the women on the court and had even met them professionally. From what he knew, Sandra Bullock and Julianne Moore were very proper and stable women in the industry. Although they had had boyfriends, their private lives weren't chaotic, and they weren't the type to be easily tempted. Now, they were all at Link's private villa, with other women, playing ball with him. This surprised him greatly, and he was also very envious of Link's popularity with women. After arriving at the villa, the two went to the bathroom to shower under the butler's arrangement. Afterwards, they were dressed in local clothing by the servants. The villa had prepared 3 sets of clothes for the 2 of them, some long and some short, in 3 colors, for the guests to choose from. Sam Haskell changed into a blue beach shirt and shorts, while Richard Fox changed into a khaki long shirt and trousers. After showering, the 2 went to a view room near the beach to rest. The servants served them local food, mainly bread, fruit, and hot soup to fill their stomachs. While they were eating, Link strode over, wearing a loose shirt and shorts. His hair was still short and jet black, but after 2 weeks, his skin had darkened, turning a wheat color from the sun, and his pupils were brighter, reflecting the light like the Hawaiian sun, moon, and stars hidden in his deep eyes. "Haha, Sam, Mr. Fox, welcome to my humble abode." Link strode in, shaking hands with Richard Fox with a smile. "Link, will you still think of Los Angeles if you stay here?" Sam Haskell pointed to the villas, beach, and azure sea outside the view room. From the yacht, he had only thought the architecture and layout were beautiful, but being there in person made the feeling even more profound. "It's so beautiful here, more luxurious than many king's palaces. If I lived here, I probably wouldn't think of anywhere else. If you like it, stay a few more days. You can bring your family here for vacation when you have time. I spend less than a month here each year, the rest of the time I'm free." Link laughed. "Haha, okay, then I won't be polite," Sam Haskell laughed. A servant brought Link a meal: bread, fruit, and seafood soup. Link broke off a piece of bread, dipped it in the soup, and ate while chatting. Richard Fox first congratulated Link on the success of his new film and on-guessed the movie's brilliant performance during the summer season. He then revealed the purpose of his visit, to invite Link to direct the sequel to The Batman. Warner Brothers' offer was a base salary of $10 million, plus a 5% share of the box office if it exceeded $100 million. This was the same condition Link had agreed to when he worked with Columbia Pictures, and Warner Brothers was offering the same terms. This had been discussed on the phone, but Link declined, citing a new film project in the second half of the year. Richard Fox didn't give up. After President Miguel Goss invited Link to direct the Batman sequel, Richard Fox returned to the production department and convened a producer meeting to discuss the feasibility of inviting Link. After discussion, they found Link to be a very suitable candidate. First, Link is currently one of Hollywood's most successful commercial film directors. From Barrett to Seven, all his films have been box office hits, guaranteeing box office success. Secondly, the Batman sequel shares many similarities with Seven. For example, both are dark crime films featuring a battle between heroes and villains. The villains are similarly portrayed, both being extremist individuals with mental illness who use their abilities to take revenge on society. Furthermore, both Seven are set in New York City, indicating Link's expertise in urban crime films. Finally, Link is a top-tier director, and Batman is a popular franchise. Having Link direct the sequel would be a powerful combination, likely exciting both Link fans and Batman fans alike, who would eagerly anticipate the film's release. In conclusion, inviting Link to direct the Batman sequel is Warner Brothers' best choice for this project. Richard Fox contacted Link's agent, Sam Haskell, to act as an intermediary, asking Link about his requirements. Anything not too unreasonable was negotiable. Chapter 250 Daily Life on the Island. Link, Warner Brothers' idea is that, depending on your schedule, you can film your current movie projects first, then film the Batman sequel. You can film whenever you have time. As for the salary, you can mention any requests you have, Sam Haskell said. Yes, Director Link, as long as you agree to cooperate, any requests are negotiable. We are very sincere, Richard Fox said. Link nodded, munching on a pineapple, and said, "Thank you for the invitation. I'm a Batman fan, and it would be an honor to direct this film. However, as an independent filmmaker, I value creative autonomy. If I were to direct the Batman sequel, the film's production must be entirely my responsibility, including production, script, casting, and editing. Warner Brothers cannot interfere with the specifics. Regarding salary, the base salary of $10 million remains unchanged. If the North American box office is below $100 million, I don't want any share. If it exceeds $100 million, I want 5% of the global box office. If it exceeds $200 million, I want 10%. For $300 million, 15%. For every additional $100 million in North American box office, my share increases by 5%. This, Richard Fox frowned. There were 3 points in Link's demands that he couldn't make a decision on. The first was the film's production. Batman is a Warner Brothers film, and the company must be responsible for production, deciding the direction of the film. The second point concerns the film's editing rights, a common point of contention between directors and film companies. Directors often have their own ideas and understanding of the film during filming, leaning towards personal preferences. Production companies, on the other hand, edit based on market and audience tastes, prioritizing commercial success. In Hollywood, top directors hold final cut rights. Link is a top director, but he and Warner Brothers have historically had a strained relationship, making it difficult for the company to entrust him with a film with a production cost of over $100 million. Thirdly, there's the issue of salary. Link requested less than $100 million and no profit sharing, demonstrating his confidence in making the film a success, which Richard Fox appreciated. However, his demand for 10% of the global box office after a North American gross exceeding $200 million was too much. If the film grossed over $200 million in North America and $400 million worldwide, Link's profit would reach $50 million, an exorbitant price. Whether to agree or not was beyond Richard Fox's control. He needed to discuss it with the company. No rush, let's eat first. Richard Fox's hesitation was expected. He made those demands to get people to haggle. If Richard Fox agreed immediately without haggling, he'd suspect he'd asked for too little, or that Warner Brothers' invitation to direct was a conspiracy. Seeing Richard Fox's dilemma, Link felt relieved. After dinner, Link had the butler lead the two of them for a stroll on the beach to enjoy the scenery, before having a large meal at the main building in the afternoon. Back at the central villa, Sandra Bullock and the others had washed off the sand, changed into clean, comfortable clothes, and were relaxing at home. Some were watching TV, some were reading magazines, and some were preparing for a nap. Although the four of them would work together to take him down while playing ball, they were quite independent and private, each doing their own thing and living in their own rooms. Not as close as they appeared on the surface. Link understood this and wouldn't interfere. He wanted to see their beautiful and sexy side, not watch them act out a soap opera. Link, who's our guest today? Sandra Bullock put down her magazine and looked up at him as he entered. Mr. Richard Fox, Vice President of Warner Brothers Pictures. Link leaned back in the soft sofa, his arm around Sandra's waist. This woman was not only beautiful, but also had a great figure. She was 171 centimeters tall and had participated in beauty pageants in her teens. Her figure was already curvaceous, but by the time she was 30, these features were even more pronounced, comparable to Kim Kardashian, and very voluptuous. Richard Fox? I know him. What does he want with you? Julianne Moore lay on the sofa with a face mask on, occasionally raising and lowering her thighs to relax her muscles and prevent them from becoming thicker after exercise. She was older than the others and paid more attention to maintaining her figure, and was equally voluptuous. He wants me to make a movie. Warner wants you to make a movie? I remember you two are competitors. Sandra Bullock adjusted her position to lean against him, making it easier for him to put his hand inside. Just competitors, not enemies. If cooperation is beneficial to both parties, why not? However, we are still in negotiations. Whether a cooperation will be reached in the end depends on the sincerity of Warner Brothers Pictures. Link massaged the most comfortable part of her body. Honey, you're amazing. You single-handedly beat the 7 major studios this summer, and now Warner Brothers is practically conceding defeat to you. You're the most amazing man in the world in my heart. Renee Zellweger walked over with a plate of fruit salad, holding a strawberry to his lips with a fork. Thank you, and you're my sweetest girl too. Link ate 2 strawberries, feeling a bit hot, and his mischievous side started to rise. He picked Sandra up and stood up. I'll be entertaining guests at the restaurant this afternoon. You're welcome to join us. Okay, have a nice afternoon. Renee Zellweger smiled as she watched the two of them walk away, then turned back and fed Julianne Moore a piece of apple. Sandra brought 2 scripts with her, planning to get Link to invest. Did you bring any scripts? No, I'm here on vacation. The beaches here are beautiful, and Link is fantastic. I'm enjoying everything here. Julianne Moore gently patted her fruit face mask. Link is great, but he's too easygoing. I'm worried he'll invest recklessly in film projects and cause the company to lose money. Don't worry, Link is smart, not stupid. Although he's good to women, he's not without principles or boundaries. If Sandra's script isn't good, he won't invest blindly. That's not necessarily true. Listen, Renee Zellweger pointed upstairs with her fork. The sound is almost breaking the roof. She wasn't this wild before. Julianne Moore listened to the noise upstairs and smiled slightly. I wasn't either, but then I met Link. He's amazing, a man who can make me swoon. Yes, I've been obsessed with him for a long time. Renee Zellweger smiled, ate a piece of fruit, and fed Julianne a piece. After a while, the sound from upstairs changed. Jennifer, she was shy and reserved a couple of days ago, but now she's more infatuated with Link than anyone else, wishing she could be glued to him. Julianne Moore laughed. Renee Zellweger listened for a while, the sweltering air making her sweat. She put down the fruit plate, stretched her smooth skin, and said, I'm going to take a nap. Do you want to come? You go ahead, I'm not sleepy yet. Okay, I'll go to sleep now. Renee Zellweger shuffled upstairs in her slippers, her sexy hips swaying beneath her skirt. Julianne Moore watched her retreating figure, muttering little slut, but hearing the sounds from upstairs, she unconsciously brought her knees together, feeling herself getting warmer. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.